Hey, welcome to Two Cents, everybody. This is the weekly Dollar Reviews recap show. If you never listened to it before and you're more accustomed to our reviews, this is just free flowing. There's no editing, off the cuff. Basically, it's anything that I've read over the past week. Usually, it's tech stuff, some VR, but also because of the show and our website, we do movies, we do a little bit of TV. We start with headlines, but before we get there, I just want to tell you, I don't know how you view our content, but you can find it all at dollarviews.net. We're also on Facebook and Twitter at Dollar Reviews. We love some feedback. We love some support. We're on iTunes, Google Play Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, just about anywhere. Give us a follow. Give us a like. Let us know how you're doing. Let us know how we're doing. I'm Brian Gillis. I'm here with Stephen Montmanex. He made me put emphasis on the T last week. I'm going to try to do it here. Say hello.
Hello.
So
You've been doing fine before. Like, it's just, I don't know. Whatever. Let's just keep going. Yeah.
Okay. So today
It's
happens
me
to be
getting off topic again because I'm tired. We're both tired.
I'm fairly, very,
Yeah.
pretty damn tired. But today just happens to be the 75th anniversary of the Citizen Kane premiere. So congrats to Orson Welles. We're still thinking about and talking
Still
about a movie
talking
you
about
made, which is weird
Yeah.
because
I mean,
it's just it's one of those movies.
why is it weird? Like, it's.
I don't think it's that great of a film.
You
mean-
know what? I think objectively for what that movie did.
Oh, yeah, for what
just
it
the narrative
did.
techniques, everything that it's influenced over the coming years. Yes, we're always going to look at that movie and being the first that influenced
It's
how
like
movie
I
making
said.
is done today, how storytelling is done today. Now, are people going to find it overrated? Of course. I mean,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I've talked about this before. My
More
first viewing of
overrated.
Citizen Kane was not my favorite viewing, but over time, I've grown to like it more and more and more. Every time I see it, you know what? I'm cool with people calling it out, and I think it's a legitimately great movie.
No, yeah, it's a great movie. It's
Yeah.
appreciated for its merits. It really did, as you say, change the landscape of filmmaking just from in front of the camera, behind the camera, auteurship, outside of a studio system. Very important film, just not great. Like it's kind of like Avatar.
It's
you
great,
know?
but it's not great.
Yeah, it's not quote unquote one of the best movies ever made, but it is definitely one of the most important. So happy 75th anniversary! If you've never seen it, you probably should. It's still a good treat if you have the attention span. It is an old movie, and you do have to have some background knowledge of William Randolph Hearst and what was going on at the time and the back history. There's plenty of biographies, plenty of documentaries. You can read all about it, but you should watch it first before you do.
No, I do think it's truly a great movie. I mean, it's not like it's Birth of the Nation or something where you just kind of watch it for that historical relevance. I do think that Citizen Kane for the most part like actually holds up quite well in some places and can still be engaging. I don't think it's boring because of the time it was made or anything.
No, I was just saying that you do. It deserves research to get its full praises, to really understand it by itself on its own. It might not, or you may not.
Well,
Those of you listening.
I really wonder how that would play if you have not done the research beforehand, because we both went to film school. Everybody hears the story of the making of Citizen Kane before they see the movie, and then everyone, of course, knows what the twist ending is before they see the movie.
That's not true.
It's such a well-known line. Really, you didn't
You'd be
know it?
surprised. No, you'd be surprised how many people I met in film school that hadn't seen it, and how many professors I talked to
everyone
that
sees
said
it for the first time in film school. That's what I'm saying.
no. I only saw it in one class at Cal State Long Beach, and that's because the professor was a pompous jerk, and he used to be the head of the department. But most teachers were against showing it because people had either already seen it or it was just one of those films that everyone else shows in college, so they avoided it on purpose. And I'm a supporter of that kind of notion. So
where
Amelie
was
should
it
not
for
be
you?
shown in
Like,
film school.
Really?
Yeah, it's one of those things.
I highly disagree. I mean, I think it should totally stay in there. It's
Amelie,
I mean, what class did you see it in? History of cinema or?
something like that. It doesn't matter. That's not the show. This is news. This is about things that are happening right now. Don't know when
Citizen
you're
Kane's a great
listening
movie.
to
I
it.
did not think I would have to defend it, but wow.
I'm not attacking it.
I don't know, but you're kind of just trying to not trying. You're sort of undermining its
No.
yeah.
No.
By saying that it shouldn't be shown in film school?
I started the show off by saying happy 7th anniversary. How's that undermining in any sense of the word? It's not a news item. There's nothing that can be said about it that hasn't been said before by people that are much better than we are. It's a non-item, so I was trying to skip away from it.
All right, let's move on.
So I don't know when you guys are listening, but this week does happen to be when May the 4th is, a.k.a. Star Wars Day. So May the 4th be with you if you're listening it on, Thursday? Yeah. So in news along those lines, Rian Johnson...
Wednesday.
Is it Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay. So along those lines, Ryan... No? What the... Is it?
What, Rian Johnson?
Yeah, it's Wednesday.
Yeah,
Rian Johnson, he's contributed to the latest Lucasfilm novel, Star Wars Bloodlines. It's set several years before The Force Awakens, follows Princess Leia and what she's doing, and how she gets to Episode 7. So this is really important because it's already proof that Lucasfilm, a.k.a. Disney, is in full support of what he's doing on Episode 8, and they're allowing him to pen other adventures, in the Skywalker saga. Very cool. Who knows if these are going to connect to his film itself, but it's a little tidbit that I thought was really interesting this week.
I mean, he has a history of he's been very, very creative in everything that he's done. He always has a ton of ideas that, it makes sense that if he has a good idea to move along with something, they would go with it. So it's clear that things are going really, really well, and I can't wait to see what he does with 8.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is good collaboration, and they're taking care of their baby, and they're I'm still not sure about Colin Trevorrow. They're allowing people with great, insight and perception behind the camera to try out their big boom, their big baby. And talking about babies,
it really seems like it's following a similar pattern for the original trilogy, don't you think? Like the first film is the fun one, and then Empire is the really big one that everyone loves. That's a great movie. And then Jedi, while, is really, really good, just kind of stumbles a little bit along the way.
We got no clue about that. I'm just saying Colin Trevorrow isn't nearly as accomplished as Rian Johnson or J.J. Abrams.
But just based on that, like, if you had to predict it, could you see it turning out that way?
Maybe.
I would. 9.
I'm not the hugest Rian Johnson fan, but I do like him as a person, as a filmmaker, and I support his vision. So because of that and his backlog, I mean, compare Brick to Safety Not Guaranteed. That's just like worlds apart for debuts. I don't know. Well, like 9, we'll see. Like, I feel like Colin Trevorrow should have just made Jurassic World 2 instead of jumping into Star Wars. But
we'll see. But I mean, I think. I don't know. I think just Rian Johnson, maybe he has the advantage because, well, actually, he's only got 3 movies and Colin Trevorrow's got 2. But then again,
excuse me, you say Rian Johnson only has 3 movies?
Yeah, he's only got 3.
Brick, Brothers Bloom.
I'm not kidding.
Brick, Brothers Bloom, Looper. There's one more.
No, there isn't.
Really?
I'm not kidding. He's directed episodes of Breaking Bad, and he's known for that, which is clearly why he's collaborated with Disney. But
I could have sworn he had another one besides those 3.
No, it's episode 8. His movies have been coming out like years apart. He's working at a Terrence Malick like pace, man. So
a little faster.
I mean, it's kind of a bummer. I wish that he could do more work faster. But I really am looking forward to episode 8. I can't wait to see what he does with it because I mean, what he was doing, I think, after Looper, he said he was working on some sort of cyberpunk sci-fi flick.
Yeah, which might still be in the works.
Yeah,
like we covered this like 3 weeks back. There's a rumor going around that he basically is only doing Star Wars so he can get that made, which would be cool because that's what Duncan Jones is doing with Warcraft, so he can make Mute, which already got a cast and already got financing. It's the one for me, one for them.
We've had this discussion before. Like, I've talked about this, is that, all these talented young directors are getting brought onto big properties that have big budgets, and that's kind of a gateway for them to do, like, what they want, basically. And hopefully that'll pay off for the best.
Yeah. But paying off and definitely money and switching hands and Hollywood news, big time this week. Comcast, a.k.a. NBC Universal, acquired DreamWorks Animation for $30.8 billion, which sounds like a lot of money. It's a lot less than Marvel was bought for. Marvel was more money. Lucasfilm
And
should have
also
been
it
more
was,
money.
Yeah, Lucasfilm was no. How much
It
was
was less.
Lucasfilm? I thought it was 4.
It was sold at a loss. George Lucas cut a good deal. It was about the same price though. But DreamWorks, they make about 2 animated movies a year. Not all of them are great. They do make money though. Like the only film they've ever made that was at a loss was the Road to El Dorado, and that was before they even did CG animation anyway. So they have a
Don't
really
forget
good.
Sinbad.
Well, that wasn't a loss though. I looked at the numbers. I think it was like
I thought that one tanked. Like,
no.
really bad.
I think that one did
Or
better
it
than
was
El
just
Dorado.
really hated.
It was hated because it was a weird. That one's weird. They tried to revitalize a franchise from what was it, like the 50s, 60s when the Sinbad
Yeah.
movies were big. That's just a weird notion. Isn't it even? I believe the rapper Sinbad, or not the rapper, the comedian Sinbad, the black guy from House Guest, is the voice, one of the voices in that movie too, which is
I
weird.
don't think it's that weird to try to revive something like that. It's just remembering how the animated movie did it. It just wasn't in any way
I didn't see
related
it.
to the stuff. And also, I mean, the older ones had the charm of Harryhausen. I think the animated movie just tried to be more hip. So maybe that was weird. I don't remember it. I remember being a kid and being like mildly entertained by it.
But the news here is that it's not going to be Comcast directly controlling them. There was people scared on the internet. The deal is that Universal is going to control, much in the same way that they control Illumination, and they kind of have a role in Amblin Partners and everything that's going on there under Spielberg's house. But what's cool here is that Universal now has a lot more properties in their belt, and then they're able to utilize the properties that DreamWorks already has. They have Shrek attractions, both at Universal Studios Hollywood, Orlando, I think also in Asia, where it's like a
They've had
4D
that
theater
for like
experience.
15 years now, haven't they? I mean, it's been a long time.
Not that long, but yeah, it's
The
been
41,
a decade
it's
for sure.
It's been definitely more than 10 years.
It's definitely a decade, yeah. But I mean, some of the rights that DreamWorks has, obviously not counting like How to Fly Your Dragon and stuff like that.
Train Your Dragon.
Train Your Dragon, excuse me.
Get it right.
It is. It is flying, to be honest. They also own the rights to like Where's Waldo, Rocky and Bullwinkle, Casper the Ghost, stuff like that. And DreamWorks, they have a really good track record, not quite Pixar, but maybe they could reboot or like bring Woody Woodpecker back to life. Like, that was Universal's original moneymaker. Like besides, the monster films, they had Woody Woodpecker. That was their answer to Mickey Mouse, and it was very successful for a series of years. And I can't remember the last time. I think there was like an animated series in the late 90s, but they've just kind of abandoned that mascot. It'd be cool if DreamWorks animated something, and I'm sure with the way things go, it will be a shared, Universal Toon universe.
I really wonder how that would go. I think I've only seen one Woody Woodpecker cartoon in my life.
He was kind of like the
I think
original He was like the original Bart Simpson, the jerk cartoon character. Like not quite Bugs Bunny, not that playful, but like just
that's
like
exactly
the badass.
how I sort of thought of him, is that he kind of just fucks with fucks with whoever's intruding his domain. Sort of like that, although I only have one cartoon to go by. I think but I remember the character for sure.
Definitely right.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they bring him back. But I really, that would be interesting to see that again.
What's really interesting here is Illumination's obviously a big, money horse there. Minions made $1 billion. The Despicable Me franchise does well. Secret Life of Pets is probably gonna make a good amount of money.
It's gonna make a lot of money, yeah.
Like they have a good track record. The news here is that, or not the news, but it was reported that Illumination is kind of gonna control or oversee DreamWorks, so Universal as a whole doesn't have to worry about that. Like that's not gonna be there. But like Katzenberg is coming into the fold. He's gonna get money for his stock. He's gonna be kind of like what John Lasseter is at Disney Animation. Like he might be on the board, but he just has the experience. He has the name. He's gonna try to help them. Maybe it's gonna go across the aisle. It's gonna go both ways. That's really cool. But the thing that I'm most excited about this news item, and wasn't really reported by any of the trades where I read it in, is that, as I said earlier, Amblin Partners has set up shop at Universal. That's the new DreamWorks. And now DreamWorks Animation is under the same title that DreamWorks is. Like, they have created a singular DreamWorks again at Universal. I want to know if Spielberg was super happy about this, that he can walk like he's working on the same backlot as Katzenberg now.
Well, my biggest worry though is that you're saying that Illumination Entertainment is going to have an influence on DreamWorks Animation.
Or they're gonna oversee production and stuff like that.
That kind of scares me.
How's it any different though than how Disney now kind of controls Pixar? They're not
No,
independent.
it isn't different. It's the matter of content, and that I'm not really a fan of the content that Illumination Entertainment has been putting out. And I've been really digging what DreamWorks has been doing lately, and they've been doing really well at Fox. I mean, they've been putting out some really good stuff. Like there's How to Train Your Dragon 2. I really dug The Croods.
I still haven't seen. I know the sequel comes out later this year.
Yeah, I am one of the. No one really talks about it, but I am a fan of Mr. Peabody and Sherman. I really actually love that movie. I own that movie too. As a matter
Yeah, I
of
want to
fact.
see. I think it's still on Netflix. And speaking of them, the interesting thing here is that DreamWorks has a Netflix exclusive streaming deal. They have the original programming. They get the movies first.
There's that. What's that movie with the snail? That
Yeah, the
releases-
Turbo. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Turbo Fast show. They got a How to Train Your Dragon animated series. They have some Madagascar shorts. They have stuff like that. And Comcast has their own streaming platform. They have Fandango Now, which they just paid a ton of money for a couple months ago. They bought MGO Movies. They have this thing. That's not set to expire for years. Are they going to be losing money that way? Like they have competition. On top of that, Fox's distribution deal with DreamWorks ends at the end of 2017. But that's kind of like a non-issue. That's exactly what happened when Disney bought Marvel and Paramount, and Universal was able to make their money still on their releases. It's kind of like Comcast gets the stock increase while Fox is paying for the money. Like they still get some of the profits,
Yeah.
But I'm all for this. I'm really excited. This is the kind of whatchamacallit, like streamlined, just not buying, but I'm all for this. What's the word?
You're just a fan of you're happy with the idea or just the fact that DreamWorks is coming back,
That
right?
Spielberg has like a true home, like a real home.
And that is that's awesome. It's just the only thing that does bother me or just kind of scares me is the fact that Illumination Entertainment will have some say in DreamWorks Animation's content. Like,
well, the
that's
movies
the
that
only thing, though.
They already have several movies in production. Croods 2, How to Train Your Dragon 3. I'm sure Kung Fu Panda 4 is probably in the early days right now.
And I think How to Train Your Dragon 3 is going to be out by the time that this deal is in effect. So
yeah.
I
doubt they're going to change anything. It's just, and they have a proven animation studio already on their backlot. It kind of makes sense that I'm guessing their offices are going to be right next to each other. So it's kind of like, this is the Universal Animation Group. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if the products dip. But I'm very optimistic right now, and I think it's awesome that with the way not just Hollywood, but American business works
together. Yeah, absolutely. I mean that is great. Content's my only worry, but it's pretty too early for me to be cynical. So yeah, hopefully this works for the best.
Yeah. There was not as big a news, but also kind of interesting. China. Talk about them a lot. Chinese business,
Always
Chinese company. Warner Brothers and Rat Pack announced, Brett Ratner himself actually in China for premiere, that they've entered a film fund with China Media Capital, which is like one of the biggest companies in China, but they're all big. They're most likely doing this just so they can get a better understanding of how all of these monsters hits are being developed in China, because stuff like Mermaid and Monster Hunt had they're reported like they're $50 million budgets, and they're making 300 plus. So they're probably just looking to see like behind the scenes what goes on, so they can mirror their success. We're moving to a more international box office. Things already open elsewhere before they come to the States. It used to be the opposite. So,
stuff like Mermaid and all that being successful in places other than China. I mean, I know it's one of the top 5, or I think it might even be top 3 grossing international movies
of
this
year. Yeah, Mermaid's top 5.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's really big, and I want to see it. It's Chow Yun-Fat, or not Chow Yun-Fat. I mean, Stephen Chow, and Kung Fu Hustle, and Shaolin Soccer. Really funny. He was supposed to make a Dragon Ball Z movie once in fun time.
I wonder if it's just I don't know how movies are marketed there. I mean, and then you're
It's
saying
possible.
it's Stephen Chow. So, I mean, that
Yeah.
is like even just on an international level, that's one of like the big names that we're aware of here. So it could be the fact that you have a movie star that's in there. That's why it's so huge. But then
I
again, I don't know how Monster Hunt is. I don't even know what it is. So
Yeah,
I
I've
know
just
that
seen
the
that.
trailer
I've
looked
seen
really, really weird.
I've seen one still, just that like that monster baby with the green hair. I know
Yeah.
nothing. I'm sure I'll watch it eventually. Um,
It
but
might be that they enjoy seeing something, in their own native tongue. Because as far as I know, movies
Possibly.
are still subtitled over there.
it's possible. But who knows? I mean, Warner Brothers is trying to crack the code, and that's why they're working together. They're going to be dumping money into China Media Capital to try to figure it all out. So good luck to them. They kind of need it with the way their studio is going, but more on that in a second. Streaming news isn't something that we cover a lot. We do talk about Amazon, Netflix, and the properties they got and the deals they got, and we got a whole section just for streaming later in the show. But there's a new player in town. They've already been established, but they're entering the streaming game. Turner, they're joining in with what they're calling Filmstruck. It's a new service that's going to have a library of 1,000 rotating flicks, which is going to be managed by TCM and the Criterion Collection. The major news here is that the over-the-top service is going to be the new exclusive home for the Criterion Collection and include previously unreleased gems from Janus Films in addition to Warner Brothers content. So it could be like HBO Films or just, like the DC films are going to be there only in addition to HBO Go. But Hulu just took a huge hit. I don't know when their deal expires. No one really knows when Filmstruck is going to go live. But that's been my defense for Hulu for the last couple of months now. It's like, well, that's where all the Criterion movies are. Well, not anymore. Like Criterion Collection plus what Turner Classic Movies already has, that's kind of like the new cinephile home. Like
And not only that, but I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I think I read that they're also going to have the bonus content there. You're
Yeah.
going to have the audio commentaries. You're going to be able to access all the bonus features that are out there, which is great. So
in addition to
hopefully this means that
continue.
Armageddon will have a second home and you can
Fuck
finally
you.
access that commentary. Come on.
I
That
almost
commentary is amazing. If
I-
it
I
is
wouldn't
available
know.
on a streaming
I-
platform, then I'm going to point it out to everybody that they check it out because that should be on there.
that's totally a Criterion movie that has been taken out of loop. In addition to Chasing Amy
It's
and
still
The
in
Rock,
circulation. It's still in circulation.
not on Blu-ray. Like
No,
if it's not on
Blu-ray,
put on,
because Disney
if it's
already
not
put
put
those
on,
out.
well, I'm just saying if the Criterion movie's not on Blu-ray, that kind of means it's out of the collection.
I'm gonna beg.
I-
I'm gonna beg.
When I was at Amoeba the other week, I almost bought the Rock Criterion Collection just because it was $5 and I really wanted it. But it's like the ugliest DVD case. It's just black. There's nothing on
no,
it.
I mean, it's very simple, and I kind of like that. But you can also just get the Blu-ray because I think they have the same exact
All the
content
features.
ported over.
Yeah, but
For Armageddon, though, no, it's still Criterion exclusive.
the idea that I could have The Rock on Criterion is just cool. Like, I guarantee the streaming content for Filmstruck, the Michael Bay films are going to be on there. Kevin Smith's
Hey,
not going to
Roger
be on
Ebert
there.
has an essay for The Rock on, or actually, no, I don't think it's an essay written for Criterion. I think it's just a ported review put in there.
Uh-huh. Well,
Armageddon's got a really interesting one, though, that justifies why it's in the collection, but it's written by Michael Bay's former professor, too. So there's clearly a bias there,
Yeah,
but
I
it's still
don't-
a very interesting read that makes you think differently about the movie.
I like Armageddon, but The Rock is it deserves to be in the collection. It is a good movie. Like, if you guys
Both of
have
them
not,
do.
Armageddon less so. Like, that
I mean,
is.
whatever you think of the quality of that movie, the way I see the Criterion Collection, they describe themselves as, like, what is it? A collection of contemporary and classic
for cinephiles
films.
or
And
something
so,
like that.
yeah, if they have a title that reflects what 90s high concept action movies were like, then Armageddon's a good
Yeah.
example to have in there for the sake of
Yep.
history. So, and that's regardless of what you think of the movie. I mean, because they got some weird stuff in that collection, too. I mean, they have House in there. Like, and
Well,
you
that
don't
definitely
you don't have to
deserves
love
to
that
be.
movie, but that's definitely worth preserving for the kind of movie that it is.
When I think of that film, it could only be in the Criterion Collection but it's such a bizarre mindfuck of a film. But
It could be an Arrow release. I mean, it's weird to think of House, sharing shelf space with the Thin Red Line and the Seventh Seal. Honestly,
I think it deserves to be on that list just
oh
because
yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just saying
it is kind of weird. It should be in the same specialized library, yeah.
Well, that's the point of the Criterion Collection to me. Is like, even though, yes, they do give us access to foreign films from the past that, we normally wouldn't get access to. That's from Ingmar Bergman or Akira Kurosawa. Everything else, it's really just like a collection that sort of represents every single kind of movie that you can find. And yeah, Armageddon is a nice, high concept slice of 90s action cinema. And that did clearly pretty well for the Criterion Collection that they got The Rock 2 years later. So, I'm fully cool with both of those being on there.
I was looking for the Criterion RoboCop Amoeba, really, and that's why I found The Rock, because
it's out of
RoboCop, Rock, they're right next to each other, exactly. Well, they have a lot of out-of-print stuff at Amoeba, but even though the Blu-ray I have, the 4K digitally remastered one, has all of those special features, I just wanted the box, to be honest.
It's not that great of a box, but I mean, you know what? I'm happy I have it, even though it's a non-anamorphic DVD. Like, I don't feel the need to upgrade it. I can still watch that movie in standard def and just kind of enjoy how kind of dated it looks.
Well, but at the time, the Criterion version was the only way to get the unedited cut.
Yeah.
So, but now there's lots of ways. So that's why it was important,
including the remastered version, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But moving on to some superhero stuff. Hall H at Comic-Con is a huge thing every year in San Diego, where the studios get to show off their sneak peeks, do the panels, let people know, dress for the press, just impress all the fans. Fox reported, or announced rather, this week that they are not going to be joining in the festivities. They are going to sit this one out, and the reason is they're scared of the increasing piracy, and they don't want their teases to be put on the internet. This is really fucking stupid. Primarily,
I don't blame them.
You know that Deadpool was only greenlit because of fan response to the leaked Comic-Con footage. It's the only reason it was greenlit. And it's
tactics on how they're going to put this stuff out there. Oh, God damn it. That's my...
Yeah, turn your phone off.
Yeah, that's the alarm that it's on silent, but that was the alarm I set so that I could wake up because I thought we would be recording later.
Well, this is alarming because Fox... Okay, look. This isn't that weird. Last year, Marvel sat out. They went to D23 instead to show off Civil War. That's okay. Disney owns Marvel. Disney already has a convention. Makes sense. Paramount sat it out last year. Well, they don't have any superhero properties, so whatever. Didn't matter. But Fox, they're the only one holding on still. They got X-Men. They got Deadpool. That's really it. I mean, I guess you could say they got Fantastic Four, but everyone knows how that turned out. They should not be running to the hills. What was that?
I don't think that this is a bad move at all, honestly. Like, for several... I mean, first off, this is not going to hurt Fox at all. The movies are still going to come out. They're still going to promote the shit out of them. And if they look good, then people will enjoy them. But, the main thing is that I think that this is just a sign that, how stuff is presented at Comic-Con... or just the value of going, like, that's completely going to change. Maybe the popularity of San Diego Comic-Con, or... Is it still going to be there a few years from now?
It's always been San Diego, always be in San Diego. There's Comic-Cons all over the place.
No, but I mean, we've talked about this. Is that I think that they were going to be moving, or was that settled already?
No, no. That's not a thing. They no. The reason is,
sure?
Like, there's other comic conventions worldwide in major cities.
But San Diego's the major one.
It's the major one, and the reason is because of its close proximity to L.A. The studios can travel that close, and it's not a problem. They don't have to ship, film prints across the country. There's no chance of it getting stolen or lost or anything like that. It's right there. It is close enough to the entertainment capital of the world that it doesn't matter. It's a non-issue. But
here's the thing, is that the popularity has grown there over the years, and people have complained that's become more about the movies and less about the comics. Really, though, like, I think all that this means is, like, having exclusive content out there just for the fans, like, that idea is pretty much dead, because then it just gets put online, and, that's kind of why I just think it's stupid to go to this stuff, or... For Star Wars Celebration, when they showed the trailer for Force Awakens, there were people that waited just 8 hours in line just to see the trailer. I watched the damn thing streamed on the internet live, so just having exclusive content out there, it seems like that's pointless now. Like
Well, even
Comic
if
Con will just
like
function more as like a PR session where, hey, once they put something out there, that's going to be out there. Like they might just drop a trailer at Comic Con, then release it online like 2 seconds later. But
well, I
having
think
exclusive content, I don't think that's
it's
gonna
weird that
happen.
they're just not going all together. Like, say they went, we're scared of piracy, we're not going to show you any trailers, any footage. Why are they getting rid of the panels? Why, seeing those pictures of the cast, like last year when they had not just the X-Men people, but also Channing Tatum and the Gambit people, plus Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool. They had their whole, like, quote-unquote X-Men universe on stage at once. That's not going to happen this year. They're going to be absent. And at a convention that is indebted to comic books, to strip the fans from the people that are creating the content is kind of weird. Like, I'm
How
not.
much is it going to cost them to promote this at Comic Con? Because I mean,
It's
I don't
free.
know
What are you
how
talking about? Comic Con says,
it's free for
"Hey, Paramount, would you or not Paramount Fox? Hey, Fox, do you want to come to Hall H this year?" They go, "Yeah, okay." They don't charge them money. Like, people buy the
Are you sure about
ticket
that? 'Cause I
for
don't know
Hall
how
H.
that works, but
Yes, people don't
it's
pay
actually
to be
free.
at conventions. Conventions pay people. That's how they get people to buy tickets. Like, bands don't pay Coachella to be there. Coachella pays the bands. That's how they attract the money. That's how they attract the people. Like, next year, if even less people, let's say, like, who the fuck's left? Let's say Sony doesn't go next year. It's going to be really weird. Who's going to be left?
Yeah,
I don't know if this is the beginning of a trend. Like, maybe the trend began last year with Paramount and Marvel not being there. And the piracy, like I said, it is an issue. The Batman vs. Superman trailer, Suicide Squad last year, yeah, they do get leaked on the internet. It kind of is a problem, but not really. I mean, the people that buy the tickets that are fanatics anyway are going to go anyway. They don't care that someone at home got to see it. Coachella's live stream.
No,
Like,
I think
there's
some
a certain
people-
experience
some people
being
do
there.
care. I mean, like yeah, there is the experience of being there, and like people have talked about that, but I don't know. I mean, from their perspective, I can see why they're worried about it. Warner Brothers was bitter, so was David Ayer, that they had to release the Suicide Squad
Uh-huh.
trailer afterwards because, I
For
mean, there
obvious
was
reasons.
there was that that like kind of crappy looking copy out there that was still clear enough, and it was just like, well, that's not going to be acceptable if that's going to be the piece. It's going to be out there for months. They may as well put it out just out of spite, but. I mean, yeah, I can see why that would be a bummer if you want to show something that's exclusively supposed to be for the fans only to have someone ruin that experience for everybody. I mean, I can hardly blame the studio, but I mean, I'm very curious just because I do see this as being a trend. I think it's going to continue being this way, and how is that going to influence how this content's put out? I mean, I don't think that means that they're not going to show up altogether, but
Well, they aren't, though.
well, yeah, for this year, but I just think probably the idea of having something exclusively out there for the fans, that won't happen anymore. They'll probably plan it out better and then just drop the content out as soon as it's presented.
Like, for Fox, it doesn't make sense, but well, maybe it could. Studios could just have, like, their own Comic-Con equivalent. Like, Fox, they show, instead of just being superhero stuff, they're like, here's the new Alien stuff. Here's the new Planet of the Apes. They kind of just
They've
do their
done
whole
that.
thing.
They've shown stuff for Prometheus before. That.
No,
I mean,
no,
that's
I'm
what panels do
saying
that.
a solely Fox thing, where instead of having 2 or 3 hours, they can have the whole day. They can make a whole thing out of it. And it's like Sony does a thing called the PlayStation Experience. It's existed for 2 years now. It's like their own version of E3, just for Sony fans, and so you can go and see only their stuff. Okay, Microsoft kind of has a similar thing. There's other conventions that are kind of for one thing. Like CinemaCon was that 2 weeks ago now? That's geared towards just people in the industry, and so they show the same things that they would show at Comic-Con, except Comic-Con's meant for a mass audience, for the fans, for the general pop. And either someone has to find a new way. It's like you buy a ticket and you watch it streaming at home. There has to be some kind of solution here because, like you said, the films are going to do fine anyway. They're going to publicize them in a way that they make money regardless. But it is kind of shitty for the tens of thousands of people out there that already have Comic-Con tickets and they were expecting to see the new stuff like Gambit footage or whatever, Deadpool 2 footage, that they've been robbed of that.
Well, it's pretty much just going to be like entertaining a PR conference where they just release the information out there. Except, they're all fans; they're not journalists. So I'm pretty sure it'll probably be something along those lines. I mean, it pretty much already is, because journalists report everything that happens that gets announced at Comic-Con. And even if they're unable to like put out like exclusive content, whether it's a poster or a trailer, there's always a description of what it is that they saw. Like there's no way to stop that, but
we all knew about the Star Wars orchestrated concert that everyone went to, and Kevin Smith spoke to 5 people. Like, we all know about that. We didn't have to go. We just knew. That's how news works. That's how social media is. But I think it's a missed opportunity. I don't think that... For one thing, this means that the Pirates win. They're scared.
How do the Pirates win?
The people in the crowd that recorded the footage have scared Fox and Paramount to not go anymore.
Is that them winning? Like, is that their goal to record stuff to scare them away from ever coming back?
No, not to scare them away, but they won the fight. Fox said, "We give up. We're not going to do it." Like, their reason is exactly because of piracy concerns.
I don't see this as a case of piracy really winning. It's more of just a case of like, you know what, let's avoid this because fuck these guys. If this is what they're going to do, then hell, you know what, we're just not going to give you the content. It's more just like, giving them a middle finger of like, hey, if you can't be respectful of how we want to present it, then you know what, we're not going to give you anything exclusive. Like, yeah, it's just like, you know what, fuck you. Like, just that. Of course, they're not directly saying that, but it doesn't. I don't know. I don't see how it's piracy winning.
I mean, I think a lot of genuine fans, the people that do appreciate these panels, are missing out because of a couple of people. And like I said, that Fox is submitting to those couple of assholes instead of appeasing the thousands of other people that wait the night before outside in the cold and have to get pizza delivered to them.
It always takes a couple assholes to ruin a good thing for everybody else. But, it's not the end of the world. There's going to be other panels out there. It's going to be great. We're going to get to see some great stuff online, too. So, hey, it's just one studio. It'll be fine.
I hope
it's not the end of the world.
Talking about kind of studios and Marvel and comic books, it's official. Netflix has announced that they've ordered a Punisher series. Jon Bernthal is returning to the MCU kind of universe. I'm excited about this. He was definitely the best thing about that second season that I'm sure Steve has still not finished.
Actually, I watched one episode last week. I still got like 5 left, but okay, that's a spoiler now for how season 2 ends. I know exactly how that trial's going to go now.
Was there any surprise that they were going to... Well, you thought they were going to kill off the Punisher or something?
Yeah, maybe, and then they would bring him back.
No.
Who knows? It's Marvel. They do that.
No.
I'm very upset about this now, Brian. I think,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I know. I spoiled it for everyone.
I know.
Blame Slash Film. That's where I read this news item.
No. Come on. I mean, it was clear that was going to happen. He's going to be in the Defenders, right?
I don't know.
That's what I heard.
Probably. Maybe he gets a cameo or something, but there's no news on that. The Defenders is just Jessica Jones, Daredevil, Iron Fist, and Luke Cage. Like, that's it. There might be others. Their sidekicks might show up. Rosario Dawson's probably going to make an appearance. Scott Glenn's probably going to be in it. But no one knows. It's still a mystery that, Marvel keeps a tight lid on things.
All right, well, I'm on the track of finishing, I don't know what, these last 4 or 5 episodes. I've been doing it more on a weekly basis, so I might talk about that in a month.
Don't know why. We already got an episode.
I might just bring it up. Hey, Dollar Reviews, guys. The Dollar Reviews show. Check it out.
But across the aisle...
Might have more to say.
In the DC camp, more trouble is brewing, more shitstorms, more bad news. I'm not exactly upset about this, though. Seth Graham-Greene, the director of The Flash, has left the project over quote-unquote creative differences, which is always the reason in Hollywood. And if that wasn't bad enough, bloggers are reporting that James Wan is rumored that he might abandon Aquaman next. Yeah. I think there's no credence to that. The difference here is Seth Graham-Greene has never directed anything in his life. Not a TV show.
Yeah, no one's heartbroken there.
He should have not got the gig to begin with. He's only known for a couple of things, and those are writing those really stupid novels that became movies. He wrote Abraham Lincoln Vampire Killer, or Hunter rather, and Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which tanked earlier this year.
Yeah, I forgot that came out.
Exactly. He wrote those novels. He wrote those screenplays. He's also writing, or he's one of the writers on the Lego Batman movie. He's helping out on a couple other things as well. So he's not a bad writer. It's just it was always confusing to me why he was able to adapt the Lord Miller treatment for this script. They were supposed to direct it. Everyone wanted that to happen. So I'm very happy. As per the James Wan thing, there's no fucking way that he's going to leave a huge movie when he abandoned Fast and Furious to make this movie. You don't want to be that guy. Plus, if he does leave it, then he's going to allow Ang Lee to be the best Asian superhero director.
Well, I think the main thing or the main worry here, or the main, like, if he does leave it, then that's just a sign of how Warner Brothers
How
has
shitty
no
Warner
clue
Brothers
what
is.
necessarily they're doing right now. I mean, you know, we'll see how Suicide Squad goes, but the fact that they're doing reshoots, like, I know that they've justified it, but
I know.
I mean, come on,
But David Ayer tried to spin that it wasn't to make it funny. I saw this thing that Slash Film tweeted
this
earlier.
This happened before too, when Wolverine Origins was doing reshoots. Like, you know, Hugh Jackman tried to calm everyone down and say, "Hey, don't worry, the movie's going to kick ass." No, and you know, this is for the bad Fox years where they were managing every single movie poorly. But I mean, I don't know, Batman versus Superman. You know, hey, while I dig the movie, I like it fine, but still not exactly the best shining example that Warner Brothers has control over what they're doing at this point.
Yeah. So, I mean, this isn't new either. I mean, Patty Jenkins came in to replace the first director on Wonder Woman last year. I don't think it's going to be a problem. Flash is coming out March 2018. They have about 2 years still to find another director. They're not even close to production yet. You know, Ezra Miller's busy in London filming Justice League right now with Zack Snyder. So it's not a problem. It's not going to affect him. It's not going to affect anyone involved. And good riddance to someone that should have not got a AAA blockbuster in the first place. So eat a dick.
I mean, this could be a pretty... like, this is all just rumor at this point, right? Everyone's looking for some reason... No, I'm talking about...
the James Wan thing?
The whole... Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is...
Everyone's looking for a reason just to beat up on DC
at
this point.
It's bloggers looking for problems. They're looking for blood in the water. It's like, you got to remember that this is the studio responsible for Game of Thrones. You know, like sure, that's HBO, not Warner Brothers, but they know how to...
It's Time Warner.
It's HBO, which is Warner, more than Time. Like...
It's connected in some form.
It's very connected. HBO films, when they adapt them for the big screen, are always put out by New Line or Warner Brothers. Like Sex and the City, Entourage last year, it doesn't matter. Like eventually Deadwood or 6 Feet Under, it's going to be a HBO, aka Warner Brothers movie. So if they know how to please a geeky audience in that way, I got faith that they're going to figure it out, even if they stumble along the way. And it's like you said, Suicide Squad is only 3 months away now. We'll see how that does. It is hopefully good, because they really can't deserve another, or like if they make another shit sandwich.
With Suicide Squad, I don't know. Maybe they can. I think if things are not fine by the time Wonder Woman comes out, then they're dead.
Well, they have to be fine by then, because that's the thing that comes out after Suicide Squad. Like they don't have another chance.
I don't know how that's gonna do. I really don't. But like I'm losing confidence in that movie. I really am.
It will be a weird one. We will find out.
I'm not excited, but I'll definitely see it when it comes out. So I'll sit back and I'll pretty much, if anything happens news wise, I'm gonna hear it from you.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, you know, it's God. How many things do we have this summer? I'm not even looking forward to that much stuff. I don't think.
Yeah, me either.
I think it's just Civil War, and that's kind of it.
Civil War next week. I mean, or this week rather. The things that I'm more excited about are like Ang Lee's long halftime walk, The Founder. What else? Like the weirder things, not blockbusters. There's not anything crazy this year that I'm like, oh my god, that was Batman versus Superman. I think that just kind of put a real damper on the rest of my expectations at the box office this year. It's like, okay.
I've already had 4 great movies this year, including one I saw today, which
Sing Street.
We'll talk about next week.
We'll talk about that on Friday.
We'll talk about that. Yeah, it's like, you know what, my appetite's kind of satisfied for stuff that I will remember of 2016. So anything else is just icing on the cake.
Well, moving to the big screen to the small screen, the really, really small screen, the one in your pocket, was reported this week that apparently 10 billion snaps are viewed a day on Snapchat by users. B with a billion. 10 billion.
All combined, right?
Yeah, worldwide.
Okay, yeah, no way, it's one individual.
No, not one person. That's crazy. And it's not just crazy, it's important. And the reason here is two things. It's a multifaceted headline. One, NBC has licensed Snapchat to broadcast Olympic highlights this summer. This is the first time they've ever allowed anyone outside of their NBC Comcast umbrella to use their rights. They're very, very restrictive on who gets access. And number two, they're trying to appeal federal laws against polling booth selfies. They're hoping that they can do something better than the I voted stickers. They want, Snap stories on election day. Speaking of which, Death to Cinema this week, if you haven't seen it, is on election timely. But this is really cool. It is a millennial social media device. It's about living in the present and expiring after 24 hours. It's, of the moment. Olympics is kind of like a no-brainer, but I really hope that these selfies happen because currently it's legal in the state of New York to take polling booth selfies, but you can get jail time in Pennsylvania. You can get fines in California. Like, every state's different. They're hoping that they can turn around the idea that only old people vote, Like, Bernie Sanders is the kind of candidate that will help millennials go to the box office. Not box office, the polling booth.
If he gets the nomination.
Well, yeah, but this could really, really help change the tide or turn it, at least for this year, Like, if
Sure.
you have
if
you have a geofilter for I voted today instead of those real stupid stickers that no one cares about.
Yeah, does anyone wear those anymore?
No, yeah, people wear them.
You're gonna find out, I guess. It's early June, right? That's when the primaries are.
No clue. I just know when the actual election day is. It's.
Are you voting?
I'm not a registered voter.
No.
No.
God damn. All right. Well, this is okay. That's not what this show is about.
Yeah.
But
I spend too much time following movies and video games and technology to care about one person sitting in an office when they really don't do anything.
Just the leader of the free world,
Sort of, not really.
Just a person that has a pretty big influence on the stuff that you're able to do, on making decisions on how you can live your life and what you're able to do.
That's more the House and the Senate. They really make the rules. He just, or she, just writes on the dotted line and says it's okay.
That has quite an influence, Just saying.
A fair amount. It's
and you still got to vote for those other guys too.
Yeah, you definitely do. I would rather vote for someone from my district than someone who's on the other side of the country, protected by tens of hundreds of people and gets a private jet and all these things. But yeah, that's not this show.
You get to vote for more than one person. It's just that's the one that gets all the attention. But anyway, that is not this show.
It's not this show. I don't have any 2 cents on any politics. Sorry.
Still the concept of taking a selfie in a voting booth, that's still ridiculous to me. The concept of selfies, like, Jesus, I really am becoming more cynical and just avoiding the internet because I see one, I'm just kind of like, you see so many, I'm sure that even you would probably go like, why? People, some selfies are taken in the weirdest fucking places.
A good selfie is a good selfie. Like, I seriously think, like, say if I was a registered voter and I went to the polling booth and I, obviously I'm not going to show in the picture who I voted for. I'm sure a lot of people would. But just the idea that I'm allowing my close-knit group of friends, plus not even taking into account celebrities, the fact that people that have a substantial social media following, if the people that follow them go, oh, wow, they voted, that's really cool. Now I want to vote. I want to be like them. I want to take a selfie of doing it. Like, it could really create an effect.
It could definitely have an influence.
It could have a big influence, yeah, because your friends would be like, oh, yeah, I'm happy they voted. But like I said, for tastemakers, people, iconoclasts, people that really affect the day-to-day thoughts of the average person out there, it would make them just more aware and more conscious of, oh yeah, maybe I should do that thing. It only takes a minute. Why not? So the Olympics thing is cool, but like I said, I think the real news item here is the polling, especially with the 10 billion views a day. Like, that's just a ridiculous amount of media.
How many fucking Snapchat users are there?
I don't know. I mean, across all devices,
Like,
it's probably in the 300 million range, or maybe a little bit lower than that. Like, it's not Facebook numbers, but it's pretty easy. It's not just meant for millennials sexting each other.
so
I,
that's
I
what, like, that's 33 Snapchats a day per person, roughly, right?
Yeah, that's nothing though. I mean, you set it from 1 second to 10 seconds, and you see them in quick succession. Especially, I'm not talking about like individual snaps to people, but rather my stories. I think that's what they're really counting here. Those are the real numbers, the live stories. Like they publicize things that way. Drake's new album views had it. I think Kanye had it too. Like anytime there was like a Prince memorial type thing, any big event really, they have one. It's just random for a city. It'll be like a color run. It'll be for the Olympics, like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, anything. Like they set up these deals. Like we said last week, MTV Cribs is coming to Snapchat. It really is becoming its own vehicle. Like it isn't that far removed from YouTube now, except it is. It has.
It's in the moment. More
It's in the
so.
moment, exactly. Like you can't get lost in it. It's just something you do out of boredom. Like I'm more likely if I have 5 minutes of downtime in an elevator to check Snapchat than I am to check Twitter, just because it's instantaneous. And yeah, maybe someone around me can see some nudes too. It is one of those
See,
things.
I'm the exact horrible segue for me when you bring up nudes, but yeah, like I'm the last person to get Snapchat. I tried it for like 2 seconds, immediately deleted it. Like
Well,
idea, like why would I need to take a selfie in a phone booth, like or voting booth, like. Okay, so yeah, there's people that would do that. To me, it's ridiculous and just seems unnecessary, and I totally wouldn't do it. But hey, it's something that clearly has appeal for a ton of people, so I'm not going to
Yeah,
knock on it. But yeah, I don't think Snapchat's going to be for me. I don't.
it's not meant for
Maybe at
everyone.
some point it'll suck me in because I mean it's clearly huge and it has a huge influence. And I said the same thing about Twitter when it started. It probably took
Hmm.
me like 2 years to really get on board. So
No, I
I
think
don't really
everyone said
tweet
that.
that often, but it is a news item for me.
Yeah, I think like everyone on in terms of Twitter was the same way. They didn't. It's one of those
Yeah.
things you don't quite get. It's just Snapchat has a wide appeal. It's great for dating. It's great for just those stupid things that you don't want to have permanent stay on the internet. Like I snap people my cat
Mhm.
all the time. Like most of my Snapchats are cats, or it'll be like me picking my nose, or like just something stupid. It's like here's 5 seconds of my life. It's just a moment, a window into what I'm doing. It's not important. I'm not trying to get likes on it or anything, but the people that care, the people that are interested, in case you're wondering what I'm doing, here it is. And I like that. I think, more and more smartphone apps should be like that. It really is does have its own niche. Like it is its own thing. It is really unique. Um, but talking about social devices and smartphones, Apple, the fiscal quarter just ended today. Apple posted their numbers. They had their first decline in 13 years. iOS devices have finally
No,
stopped
no,
their course
really?
of being, profitable. They are dipping now.
After
13
really
years.
after all the great announcements that we've had in the past year, you sure that they had a decline? I thought they were going to do well.
Okay, your
I'm
sarcasm.
totally being sarcastic.
Yeah, no, I get it.
We've been knocking on Apple the
No, no,
whole time.
I've knocked on them for years and years.
Hmm.
But like it wasn't a surprise to them. They're fully aware. They knew that they couldn't ride the iPhone train forever. The most recent iOS device they announced was an iPhone that looked exactly like the one that came out 4 years ago, but has newer insides. The iPad's not getting any better. Like people are only going to buy something new. They're not going to buy a new version of what they already own. Like an iPad is an iPad, an iPhone's an iPhone, an Apple Watch doesn't really sell. Like they have to find something new. But the real number here that was important in the report was that they have 13 million Apple Music subscribers, which is a lot. Like that's more than Tidal. It's not Spotify numbers, obviously, and that's helped by once again Drake. His album Views has an exclusivity hold there, and that must have helped them a lot. A lot of people probably signed up for a trial and are probably going to keep it. Like, if you're in their infrastructure, if you're part of their ecosystem, you're more likely to use something. Like if for some fucking reason you use Apple Maps instead of Google Maps, then yeah, you're probably going to use Apple Music instead of Spotify.
Well, I
But
mean,
they,
especially, with having years and years of iTunes, like that's one thing that's been great about it is just ease of use. So I'm
mhm.
assuming that they have that, and that's probably why they have so many subscribers, and they've been able to maintain that.
It's probably just because anyone that owns an iPhone I'm pretty sure
It's
you
also
can't.
convenience.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can't delete Apple Music off your iPhone. And so you have the phone, it's on there, you probably try it. You're like, hey, I like this. I don't actually want to buy the songs, I just want to listen to them. And they do get exclusives. They get albums for limited times, like they did it with, Taylor Swift and now Drake and some other stuff. Like it's quickly becoming, we talk about this in terms of streaming. Last week was a big item. We're talking about Hulu and Amazon and Netflix in terms of what they have and the numbers, and it's 4-to-1 odds and all that stuff. It's the same thing with music. Spotify doesn't have their own thing, but Tidal, with Beyonce and Kanye West and Jay-Z and like I said, Drake on Apple Music. Like if you have these exclusives, if you can drive someone to your app, it's kind of becoming its own thing. Like you can separate who's who, much in the same way that video games work. Like it's an exclusive. You can only play this on Xbox. You can only play this on Nintendo. That's how you really garner an audience. That's how you figure out who wants what, how they want it. I mean, I'm still waiting for them to do something new. We've talked about VR and AR about a lot on the show, how important it is. If Apple does not unveil a device, a VR headset or something, by this time next year, they're going to be too late to the party. They're not going to be able to get their foot in the door because there's already two really big ones out at the market. Sony's selling a lot of pre-orders for the PSVR. Who's going to care about your headset that's out when millions of people potentially could have already tried it out? Gear VR, Google Cardboard, and it's like, oh, guess what? Now we got Apple VR. It's like, where was that announcement a year ago? You can't get excited about something that comes out next week. So they built their reputation being trendsetters. That's how the cult of Mac works. It's like, well, look at us. We got Lightning Bolt, and we got Touch ID, which, did take off, and Apple Pay, and all these ideas that aren't quite original, but they're the first to the party. They need something new. It's very obvious with the numbers dropping off. Macs don't sell nearly as well as they did 10 years ago.
No.
It's apparent in these numbers that neither do iOS devices. So, a self-driving car, a VR headset, a video game system, something. They need something. Because they're not going to, go negative. They're not going to be in the red or anything. But one bad quarter leads to another one, Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a new trend for them. And people might jump ship. Who knows? Feel bad for their stock options.
I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Well, when's their next unveiling? It's going to be what, this summer?
Yeah, it's always around September. It's on my birthday usually, actually. So it's probably like the 8th or the 9th of September this year.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, I mean, I agree. It makes no sense for them to put out the same content because I mean, it's stuff that's been around for what, like 5 years. We're due for a major technological shift at this point in time, which clearly we obviously are, and they got to catch up.
Yeah, it's in other related news. An employee's dead body was found on the Cupertino campus this week too, and the police haven't commented if the two are connected. Maybe the ghost of Steve Jobs killed someone. Who knows? But it was really weird timing. The fact that this news item about the reports came out like a couple hours after the dead body thing. It's like, uh-oh, this is like a Twin Peaks thing. By the way, did you see that cast list? There's like 217 people in the new Twin Peaks show.
No, I don't watch. I've not watched Twin Peaks. You know this.
No, it's just a news item. Like, David Lynch has 217 cast members. Like, a lot.
Like leads, or is that including bit
just
parts?
everyone.
I mean,
like, everyone. And a lot of them are people that have worked with him before. Like, a ton of people from Twin Peaks originally, but just, like, yeah, this isn't even a news item because there's too many names to mention. Like, anyone, just Google Twin Peaks cast. It's a ridiculous laundry list of names, like famous people, not like, who's that again? So yeah, check that out if you're interested.
Probably one of those things that he wanted Showtime to commit to, and then they said no, so he had to quit, and that's how they got him back.
No, the names came after that, but yeah. The final.
No, I'm saying maybe that's one of the demands of what they had trouble with at that point in time. 'Cause,
no.
I don't know. Who knows?
When you make a TV show, it's not a movie. You don't say, we need this actor for this part. Like, you write the thing, and then you attract him later.
I just know that he left it because
they weren't going
to let him do it the way that he wanted to do it.
He left and then came back because they didn't give him the money and the time that he wanted. They wanted it rushed out. It was supposed to be on TV already. And that's not the way he works. You were talking about Malick earlier. Like, David Lynch makes he has just as many movies as Malick has now. I think like Malick might be behind a couple. He's at the end of the show. He can wait.
Okay.
The
All
final
right.
headline, though, this is really interesting. It's kind of related to the Freddy Got Fingered thing a couple of weeks back. But this Michigan cop is being accused of using a confiscated iPhone to access a Nest camera and peep on a nude mother breastfeeding in her own home. The long story here is that he arrested a perp for a drug charge. He was going through his stuff. He found his phone. He opened up some apps. He found this camera. The mother involved here, Nest cameras, they blink green when a user is accessing the feed. Like, this camera's meant for keeping track, like tabs on their kid when they're not home. And so she noted that, she saw the camera blinking. She used Find My iPhone and found it that the phone was in the perverted cop's house, and so she's contacted the police. We'll see how this plays out. But what's weird here and
Wow, he's got to go to jail.
yeah, this is the
Fuck
worst
that guy.
part about this guy. He's already got 2 strikes. One for using a taser on a mentally challenged guy. Like, he does not have a good track record. But this is next level perversion. This could be a screenplay. Like, make a new version of Peeping Tom where you hack into the Internet of Things devices in people's houses. You use their own fancy toys against them.
Well, I mean, just using someone for surveillance.
Yeah.
Didn't Daredevil do something similar like that in the very first episode? Like, they used
Not-
an iPad to spy someone in the park. I thought that was a cool
Not-
idea when I saw it.
Not
I
like
mean, it
this,
wasn't
though. Like that.
It wasn't like that, but I was thinking, like, you know what? That is a cool way of using that. That could be done more often.
Like, I think on Daredevil is a drone. Like, drones are kind of commonplace. Like, these Nest cameras and thermostats and stuff like that. Like, he could have easily, if they had the camera, they probably had the thermostat too. He could have easily, like, dropped the temperature in their house. He's like, now I want to get your nipples hard, lady. Like, he could have took it another level. Who knows how far it went. But how fucked up of a guy do you have to... Like, first off, why was he even on the guy's phone in the first place? I'm pretty sure that's alone, even if he didn't do something scandalous, is an invasion of
So
privacy.
how did he get access to the phone?
He probably said...
Or was there no pass log
He
on
was,
there?
who knows? He was probably, hey, unlock your phone. You're arrested. Like, I don't know. Like, why did he give him the phone in the first place? This is a bad cop. It's in Michigan. RoboCop needs to sort things out, apparently. I'd buy that for $1. But I just thought it was a weird story. I do like the weird things. And it was a good segue for the tech news section of the show. So, like I said earlier, we do like talking about VR. We talk a lot about video games and smartphones and stuff. So the big news item right here that's going to start off tech is in the gaming field of things. Nintendo, they're kind of not really in the industry anymore. I do not try to sell Nintendo things at work. And for good reason, because they really don't understand how business it should be done. They announced this week that their next console, the quote-unquote NX, is going to be coming out this March. It's claimed to be a handheld home hybrid. It's going to try to, in their own words, break new ground what's capable of video gaming, which is kind of what they always say, to be honest. And just to really point out how shitty this is, they've been amping up their user base for, like, over a year now about a new Zelda game. It's going to be open world. It's going to be in HD. It's going to be pretty. They've pushed that to March to capitalize on this new console. And this isn't the first time they've even done this. When the Wii came out, they did the exact same thing. They made Twilight Princess for the GameCube, and then they put it out on the Wii. Now they're doing the same thing again with Zelda, which is one of their biggest franchises. Like, they do not care about their consumers.
Well, honestly, it's a dick move, but they don't really need to because they got such memorable characters that, people are just going to buy into it no matter what, and they kind of know that.
The Wii U does not sell. We do not sell them at I can't speak for every GameStop, but I do not sell them. I think I've only sold one. I sell like a PS4 almost every shift, okay?
Yeah, but is there any exclusive content for the EU that's appealing at all?
You mean the Wii U?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's
said
what I said,
EU.
isn't it?
I'm pretty sure you said
No, I said
EU.
Wii U.
Okay, well, yeah, no, they have Super Mario Maker, and they have Super Smash Bros. Wii U, and they have, a Zelda game, and they have their first-party shit. But no, there isn't anything that's like, oh, you've never played this before? You gotta play it on the Wii U. That doesn't exist. The new Star Fox that just came out is supposed to be shit. Like, they haven't made an F-Zero game in, like, a fucking decade. Metroid? Yeah, don't hold your breath. Like, they do not know how to make their own games. They literally don't make them anymore. Star Fox wasn't made in-house. It was made by Platinum Games. It was made up by another developer. It's just sad. I don't like to shit on Nintendo. It's just you got to, because
Well, it's just anytime Nintendo's brought up in conversation, N64 is the peak. Like
no, Super
no one
Nintendo
goes
was the
any higher
peak.
than that.
Nintendo 64 was impressive for one reason. Two reasons. It's that they were able to really make the 3D game a reality, and they helped create the FPS as a viable means on a home console. Up until that time,
GoldenEye.
yeah, with GoldenEye. That's it.
Hell
Like
yeah.
Super Mario 64 is amazing. That's why it's a pack-in title. It really did revolutionize the way gaming could be done. They figured out how to go from 2D to 3D games. People like saying that about Ocarina of Time too. That's just kind of like an extension of what they did with Mario. But
Hey, well, I'm more partial to N64 just because that's what I had.
yeah, well, I mean,
but-
it's good memories. Good, they got good
exactly.
names. It's just
yeah, and that's the thing I think with Nintendo is that they're probably going to be fine because
no.
I mean all the characters that they have, it's all rooted deeply in nostalgia, and I mean unless they really really fuck up, like how do you it's got to be really difficult to fuck that
no,
up.
I think they're gonna fuck up this time.
You really think so?
Yeah, the Wii was one of the best-selling consoles of all time. It was a crossover success. It hit all 4 quadrants. It was good for seniors, kids, toddlers, adults. It was good for the whole family. It was easy. It was
Wii
intuitive.
Sports is pretty fun,
Yeah,
honestly.
no, like any Wii game, like it was the idea. I don't need to know any buttons. I just use my hands. Yeah, do it. Like, and Sony and Microsoft try to mimic the success with the Move and Kinect, and didn't quite connect. But like I just I feel bad for the people that
We'll
use their
see.
devices, because they're so behind the times and they just don't understand things. And it's not like, oh, it's because they're Japanese. It's like, no, Sony's been on
Exactly,
it for years and years now, decades actually. They celebrated 20 years this past March. It was, not this March, last March. The funny note here is Sony's PlayStation Network made more money last year than all of Nintendo combined. Their system sales, their software, their paraphernalia, their anime, all of their shit made less money than just the digital marketplace on Sony's consoles.
No, I mean I rarely hear about Nintendo anymore. I don't really care exactly because it's just something that's rooted into nostalgia for me. I mean, yeah, if I was to get a gaming console right now, it'd be more likely to be the Xbox One or a PS4. Nintendo just doesn't come to mind.
Nintendo's for families. It's for younger kids.
Yeah.
It's for people that are really, really in love with their franchises.
I mean, that's the thing. I had my time as a kid when I grew up with N64, so that's it. Unless, I mean, we'll see, because March is still a long ways away. That's 10 months from now, so we'll see how this is marketed. They could recover.
No.
They got the time to do it, but I mean, you don't think it's likely.
I
don't care.
I
but
don't
I'm not
own a Nintendo system that an Amiibo works on, but I own one. Okay, Amiibos were very successful for them. They realized something. They got it right. Miitomo, their social media app that's on smartphones, has 10 million users. They got that right. It's free. They're making games for smartphones now. They know they have to do something. We were talking about Pokemon potentially being a live-action movie last week. They're trying new things. They got their anime properties and their trading card games and all this shit. They have ways to make money. It's just they've always been weird. And that was kind of like a good thing, kind of like Apple's Think Different campaign. They have discs, we have cartridges. They have DVDs, we have very small CDs. The Wii U uses DVD-ROMs for games, and yet it's not a DVD player. You cannot put a DVD in a Wii U.
I mean, that's the thing. How is Nintendo going to survive in this digital age where you can
They can't
access
survive.
games now on the cloud? That's
They don't even... They're so backwards, they finally set up an online system for friends a couple of months ago. Up until then, you had this weird code that was like 14 digits that you couldn't even create your own. It was a serial number, and you went, oh, you want to play Super Smash Bros. With me? Here's my code, and you'd hand it to them. Like, they're very weird, very Japanese, but I hope that it works out for them, because it would be sad if they went out the way Sega did and just, if you can buy Mario games on the PlayStation, I would do it. but it would be weird. It would be weird to see one of the pioneers go out like that. So yeah, I do want the NX to do well. It's just it's too soon. Number one, to put out a new system. They released the Wii U before Xbox and Microsoft, Microsoft and Sony put out their new systems, and the fact that they're doing it again in the middle of a life cycle, like the Xbox One and PS4, still have at least 4 years until they're gonna have to upgrade, and Nintendo's already done it.
Well, maybe Senshiro Segata can come back from the grave and give them a beating just to snap them back into place.
I'm sure he would have been doing. He probably wrote down the date before he died. He was like March 12th, guys. That's the day. But video games are also on the big screen, as you may know. They're making a big comeback this year. Ratchet & Clank is in theaters right now. Sly Cooper's coming out later in the year.
Which tanked.
Well,
just like I said it would.
Keanu only made $10 million. So I think that's
I know, which is still
sad.
Is interesting to me
real
because
sad.
It's been packed.
Yeah, Mother's Day made like $10 million too, and that franchise, if you can call it that,
that's been doing well in my area. So like at several theaters,
like everything besides nothing broke 10, or I think Mother's Day made 12. Nothing really broke 10 besides Jungle Book. That has such a huge staying power. It's like I said during the Keanu episode.
It's made 40. And that's 3 weeks.
Yeah,
this is the third week.
It's like I said during Keanu. Like, I think a lot of people are just saving their money for Civil War, or they went to see the other Disney movie instead. Like, it's a possibility that Zootopia, Jungle Book, and Civil War would be in the top 10 next week. Like,
I mean, Zootopia is in the top 5 right now.
Yeah,
I think so.
Zootopia's
it's the high. It outgrossed Ratchet & Clank this weekend. That's how well Ratchet & Clank tanked and how well Zootopia is doing. So
Ratchet & Clank
they'll be in the top 10 for sure.
Ratchet & Clank was a weird bet for Sony and Gramercy. The remake on PS4 is selling really well. It's hard for me to even keep a copy in stores. I think it might have legs. If more people play the game, then they're going to be more likely to go see the movie. Like it might, I think it will do really well on digital, especially on Sony's own movie marketplace. Maybe even in their 4K section. If they do something like buy the Blu-ray, get a free copy of the game.
I don't know. We'll see because the animation for that looks pretty cheap. I don't think it would. It's pretty crude. I don't think that would translate to 4K at all very well.
I don't know. It's just it's not the strangest thing. Like I said, Stranglehold, which is like a sequel to John Woo's Hard Boiled, that came with a free DVD copy of Hard Boiled. So it's something that they've done before in video gaming. It's possible. But like I said, on the big screen, we got a new Lara Croft. The next Tomb Raider movie is going to be starring Alicia Vikander. She got it. It was rumored that Daisy Ridley was in the running a couple months ago. She wasn't the one. So they got an Oscar-winning actress now with the dual guns. I'm excited about this. Those first two with Angelina Jolie weren't the greatest movies, but I have fond memories, and they definitely
Even
were
the
fun.
second one?
Less so. But I mean, Sean
Even
Bean
the one
was
with
in
Jan
that.
DeBont?
Yeah, Sean Bean was in that first one, I believe. Like it just.
I know Daniel Craig was in the first
Yeah.
one. I have not seen that first one since it came out. Like it's been a long, long time. But
I like this though.
Alicia Vikander,
Yeah,
I approve.
yeah, she can carry a movie. I mean,
Yeah.
Man from U.N.C.L.'s not the best movie, but she's good in it. Obviously, Ex
Don't
Machina.
forget Ex Machina, yeah.
Yeah, no, you can't forget it. Like, whatchamacallit, the Danish Girl. She's really good in it, as much as people want to shit on that movie for its agenda. So I like this. I don't really see her as being an action star, but I've been surprised before. People probably said the same thing about Angelina Jolie, and look at her now. So, good luck to her. Good luck to whoever's making it. It's a Square Enix movie. They need more money. But yeah, I don't know who's
they got the
producing
right
it. It's probably
casting
Paramount.
Now. They got the casting now. Let's just hope that it's better than that on the creative side.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking.
I'm sure it'll be a well-marketed movie. That's for sure. I just hope it's better than that.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, they're not the only new video game movie that's coming out. This is, like I said, it seems like they're finally getting it right, or at least trying to get it right. But Mark Platt is working with Sony right now to adapt Shinobi to the big screen. If you don't know the name, that's one of Sega's original franchises. Like, it predates Sonic the Hedgehog. And it's interesting because it's a ninja game, and that's not a franchise that gets a lot of play in the Cineplex. That's the reason why they're trying to do this. If Mark Platt doesn't sound familiar, he produced Bridge of Spies, so it's just interesting that an Oscar-nominated producer is jumping into the video game arena. It's kind of proof that Hollywood is, like I said, is trying to get it actually right. They're trying to capitalize on this built-in market. Activision, Activision, aka Blizzard, it has Warcraft coming out this year. They're making a Call of Duty movie. Assassin's Creed's coming out this year. Like, any kind of huge franchise is already coming out in this year or the next. The fucking Splinter Cell movie next year. It seems like there's non-stop reporting, but I thought that this one, in addition to Tomb Raider, was noteworthy enough that it kind of got its own section instead of being in movies.
Really, I think we'll see how Assassin's Creed does. Like, that's got to be the one that makes video game movies, like, that just makes it so people can take them more seriously. Because what's the best one that we have right now? It's probably, Prince of Persia?
No, fuck no.
Honestly, no. I mean, that movie's not terrible.
No, it's definitely not terrible, but I don't think
it's a kind of a fun movie. But I think that might be the one that might be the best one that we
have.
Are
you saying feature length?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was gonna say
not
like Dan Trachtenberg's Portal No Escape is definitely the best example.
Oh yeah, no. Like shorts, that's one thing, but feature length, yeah. I want. There's got to be something better, something that I like more. But
the first Resident Evil movie's not bad. And neither is shit. What was I gonna say? I can't. I blanked right now. It must be bad. I kind of count Tron as a video game movie. It's like the ultimate video game movie.
In a way, but it's not a video game adaptation. That's what I'm saying.
They adapted the game, and it became really popular in arcades after the fact. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, that first Tomb Raider is pretty good.
I don't know, Hardcore Henry sort of counts, but that's not really what it is.
I mean, that's a movie trying to be a video game, but I guess that's kind of what Tron is too.
Well, it definitely has that video game influence because it's a first-person shooter, basically.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely had that mark on there. It's way more fun than what what was it called? That shitty movie with the Rock, Doomsday.
Doom.
Or no, Doom.
No, Doomsday was another shitty movie.
Yeah.
No, the Doom. Like, I really liked.
Oh, no, wait. Doomsday. That's the one from Neil Marshall, right?
Is he who did that? It's the one. Like, it's like in
the 2008 one.
Yeah, it's like the English countryside, and there's like some outbreak, and there's like these crazy punks, like savages, like trying to destroy stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of a fun movie. Yeah, the one like
it gives really good because Clubfoot's on the soundtrack towards the end, and you can't not hear that song and not get pumped up like that. Oh my god, so good.
No, isn't it like a zombie flick, but with like a Mad Max type setting?
Sorta, except it isn't good. And
it's trash, but it's pretty fun, honestly.
Yeah, I didn't.
I have not seen it in forever.
When I saw it, I didn't disenjoy it. It was like just a step above a sci-fi movie. I mean, like Sci-Fi Channel, not genre. It was in that same kind of wheelhouse. But
I mean, that's the guy that directed The Descent, right? And a couple big episodes of Game of Thrones.
I believe so. Yeah. Talking about actual tech things, though, and this is also movies because there's crossover. It is the same show. Lionsgate has brung, or is beginning to bring anyway, 100 of its movies to Steam. If you aren't familiar with their name, that's Valve's digital marketplace on PC. It's like the end-all, be-all. If you have HTC Vive, that's where you're using it primarily. What's important here isn't that Steam has 125 million users. It's rather that, as I said with the Vive, this means that you can you can buy movies in a digital marketplace that's built to use VR currently, right now. And like just another tidbit, it was announced that you can use Bitcoin in transactions on Steam now. So you can use Bitcoins, a digital currency, to buy movies on a video game marketplace and watch them on a VR headset. That's the future to me.
That's crazy. Although, what's the quality on these movies? Like, is it some of the cheaper Lionsgate stuff?
No, it's like their full library. The Hunger Games movies, Twilight, Kick-Ass.
My Bloody Valentine.
Yeah, I read something that I read that the most expensive movies,
Tyler Perry's movies.
No, the most expensive ones are apparently the Leprechaun series, which doesn't make sense, but it's kind of cool. Like, go WWE Films, Leprechaun Origins. So that's cool. The Saw movies are included in this. Lots of stuff. Lionsgate, they have some good stuff in their library. But I think that this is the first time digital movies are available through strictly digital means. It's like a turning point. Steam might not be the best way to watch a movie, but I think it's a really cool concept. I wouldn't be surprised if more studios agree. Like, it might start off small, like it'll be like one step up from Lionsgate, like maybe Paramount will be the next one, but who knows? Sony could join in, like Warner Brothers could do it too if Lionsgate
like
makes
a
enough
year
money.
from now, this could totally be like established. Like this could be the norm.
Like
If not a year from now, then soon.
especially if the Vive starts selling really well. Like if no one's gonna really know until the holiday season. You know, that's when it's gonna come into play. That's how we're gonna know if VR really is the future of media, like everyone likes to say it is. And this has already set up a groundwork. Like, thanks, Mom. I really love my VR headset. I'm freaking out. I can't believe it. And she's like, yeah, and I got you $20 worth of Lionsgate movies too, so you can watch those in VR, kid. That's probably something that's gonna happen. Like, it just makes sense to me. At least in this situation, because I know like Oculus with the Rift Store has like a marketplace for movies as well.
What's crazy though is like I keep hearing and I keep seeing stuff on the internet. I keep looking at a Best Buy. I'm not seeing anything.
I think you're in the wrong area.
So yeah, I know. I mean, it's like so. Well, there was also stuff at South by. It's just I didn't walk by it, but like yeah, I mean, I keep hearing positive feedback on it.
This is
the
month.
I keep hearing that this is the future, but it's like I can't find it anywhere.
This is the month.
That's what's crazy.
That Oculus and HTC is supposed to be available in stores. Like at Best Buy, there's supposed to be demos. Like I'm gonna, check BestBuy.com frequently until I see it, because I can go to Hollywood. There's a GameStop out there in West Hollywood that has an HTC Vive demo. I think there's also one in Mission Viejo at the Microsoft store, and then also GameStops nationwide are going to get PlayStation virtual reality demos come June. So it is becoming a more accessible thing for the consumer just to window shop, really. And I don't think you're going to be excluded for much longer.
Well, I mean, here's hoping. Like, just I still need to see what the deal is.
Yeah.
Then again, I don't know when I'm back in. I could be in California soon, so I might just have to go look in LA or somewhere, wherever.
I mean, here's a bigger deal. This is more movie related than gaming, but Proof Inc., who does pre-visualization work for major franchises, including Fast and Furious, Guardians of the Galaxy, and if you don't know what that means, basically, before the CG is done on a film, or before they block or get the crane out for the complicated shots on a film, they make a very crappy looking CG storyboard. It's just so the director can know how the camera's going to move, what's necessary.
It's basically an animatic.
Yeah, it's an animatic. It's a previs. So they unveiled Prime on Wednesday. It's a new arm that's going to deal with just VR mock-ups. So this is important because they already have these relationships with major studios. I list off Universal and some Marvel franchises. They also worked like on the Spider-Man movies that Sam Raimi did. They have a connection with not just blockbusters, but known directors and also real studios. That this is going to facilitate them to make actual VR content, or at least something more than just a publicity stunt. And I really can't wait for this stuff to be out there. Like, if people that are in the industry are trying to help others make this stuff, that means that it has to be made in the near future. Now, we already talked about Hardcore Henry being a missed opportunity. If they shot that in VR, it probably would have actually made money. But maybe...
Well, it'll probably undergo some sort of conversion, or like it'll be retrofitted to fit that, because it's definitely got the right lens to give you...
the fisheye, yeah.
I don't know, I think it's a fisheye, yeah. Like, it'll translate well to VR once you're able to watch it on there, and it'll dominate your full periphery. Like, I could totally see that working real well if they manage to make it fit on there better.
Plus, that's just one of those movies that's going to play better at home, in the same way that Unfriended did. I really enjoyed watching that on my laptop.
I enjoyed the audience experience of Hardcore. I don't think we did an episode on it.
No, we didn't. We do an episode that week. No.
No, I mean, yeah, that movie is fun. Like that crowd was bloodthirsty, man. So, yeah, the audience experience for that, totally worth it.
Yeah, but someone who might be taking advantage of this is Disney. They announced a huge deal this week. They are going to be working with Nokia exclusively, using their Ozo camera to capture VR content. This is going to be used across their entire family of studios, meaning Lucasfilm, Marvel, obviously Walt Disney Company, Touchstone, everyone. And it's currently being used to capture behind-the-scenes footage for upcoming releases. I'm guessing that means Star Wars Episode 8 or Rogue One. It could
Well, it
be
depends on
Infinity
how
War.
secretive that they are on there. But
Yeah, well, the press release didn't say what it is, but in the same way that the Star Wars app last holiday season was hinting at, what was happening in Episode 7 through Google Cardboard, they're using an actual VR rig now for, people with the true head-mounted displays. It's huge for Nokia. I mean, they've kind of been in the gutter recently. Microsoft kicked them out of the company. They're no longer part of them. They're not making their smartphones anymore. They don't really make smartphones at all, and they got all their chips in on the Ozo, which, if the rumors are true, they're going to be making a prosumer level instead. So I think this one is like, I don't remember. I think it's like $25,000 a piece or something like that. But this isn't like the Facebook one we were talking about 2 weeks ago, where you have to make it yourself and 3D print the rig, or even GoPros. Theirs is the same. Or whatchamacallit. Also, like Google, I'm sure at I/O they'll announce a new one, but theirs is similar. It's like you have to have all of these GoPros and put them together. The Ozo is a singular actual rig. It is made by them. It's already made, and that's probably why Disney's going for it. They're trying to do it with someone that seems like they got their act together already, because they got a lot to lose, and they're probably not making a bad product. So I
mean, it's just stuff like this. It's like, it makes me wonder how anyone could doubt that VR is the future if everyone's investing in it, if the product's going to be put out there. And
well, not
there's
Apple.
Great incentive for people to check it out.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no, not Apple. At this point, anyway, we'll see.
We'll see in 1,000 years.
Come September, things could change.
Maybe, I doubt it. But yeah, I think it's half and half. I think it's people jumping in the pool before it gets stagnant, just so they can say we're already here, we're already future thinking, we're already thinking about you, the few, the proud that already have VR content and VR devices, and then also for the stock market, so it looks good, so their investors don't think that they're only making one thing. It looks good on paper. We don't know what it is. Who knows how long it's going to be until this stuff's on screens. Like, the ILM X Lab stuff that was at Sundance and South by Southwest. Who knows how long it's going to be until consumers can actually, experience that stuff. Yeah. But the fact that it's out there, that people are doing it, that a lot of people are doing it, is really exciting.
There's big interest in it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like, it's just a matter of time.
There's so much interest, in fact. You remember we were talking about, like, the New York Times shipping out all those Google Cardboard units with the newspapers, like, a year ago or something? Mm-hmm. They're doing it again. They're going to be sending 300,000 of them to their digital subscribers this time. The people that have been subscribed for the longest amount of time. So altogether, that means they're going to have shipped, like, over 500,000 Google Cardboards in the past year, which is crazy. That's a huge install base. That's a lot of people that probably didn't even know what VR was, really. They're going to be able to get their eyes on it. And
that's a major investment right there. But then again, I mean, how much does it cost to make those?
I don't know how much they are to manufacture, but the cheapest...
It's literally cardboard, isn't it?
Well, yeah. and the lens. The lenses are probably what cost the money. But yeah, if they sell them for $20, that means they have to cost at less than $10 to produce. Like, the real cost is probably shipping, to be honest. So that's, it's a lot of people that can get their eyes on it. But we finally got to the part where we talk about movies. It was only an hour and a half wait.
The show just keeps getting longer.
There's only a couple of movies things here. The TV stuff's at the end. Maybe we'll just cut it out to just tell people to go fuck off.
We already talked about Citizen Kane.
Yeah. You kind of hinted at this earlier. You were talking about IMAX. Well, not really, but you said Terrence Malick. So the film stage found this thing in an IMAX press release where his next film, A Voyage in Time, which is a documentary, it's coming out this year. Its release date is October 7th, but that's just for IMAX theaters. Apparently there's two different versions of this documentary, which is going to chronicle, like, the life of the universe and Earth's place in it. Who knows? It sounds very Terrence Malick.
The other one's supposed to be like a 90-minute documentary.
Yeah, this one's just 40
with
minutes.
A different narrator.
Yeah, the IMAX one is 40 minutes with Brad Pitt. The other one, whenever it's coming out, it's probably going to be Oscar season, closer to December, is going to be, 90 minutes or something, and Cate Blanchett. I have no clue. I didn't read the press release myself. It's definitely an IMAX. It would be awesome if it was, but I doubt it. Just because it's Malick, he hasn't done 3D, and it seems like
We got two
auteurs.
Malick movies in 1 year, though, man.
Yeah.
That's
Plus,
kind of worried.
plus,
there,
who knows
honestly.
when his other one's coming out? The one about music. That's probably gonna be next year at this
Yeah,
point.
the South by one. I mean,
Yeah.
I have no shit. Two Malick movies in 1 year. Maybe he does need those 5 or 6 years to.
He
think
really
things through
doesn't.
clearly, because after Knight of Cups, which was just so empty and kind of repetitious to me, like I don't know, maybe he needs to think about more things to explore within all that time. But I mean, Voyage of Time has been that's been on the table for like years now.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Interesting week for IMAX releases, because I think a big one just came out this weekend, A Beautiful Planet, and
not to
I mean,
mention
I wanna
also
see
the
that. That's playing near me.
not to mention also the spin cycle class that you can take in IMAX theaters now, which is
Yeah, and also,
so
I mean, the
fucking
IMAX
weird.
and the native IMAX theater here, we just found out that we're gonna get 4K laser pretty soon.
Awesome.
So, I mean, that's
Are you
exciting.
getting
And
are you
that's-
getting 3D laser though? Or are you getting the duals?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, like
Cool.
I mean, it does have 3D at that theater, and it is a nice theater. And it's also actually I'm like 15 minutes away from that theater just by walking. It's the closest, like theater. Well, technically it's a museum, but yeah, it's the closest like at screen. That's to me right now. But man, like, yeah, like because it's Malick, I will see it. It's an IMAX documentary, so I'm curious about that. But Jesus Christ, that guy's working at a really fast pace now.
I think he just had enough of a break between the Thin Red Line and the Tree of Life that he's kind of like, fuck it, only got so many more years on this planet. He's like 60 plus, so man.
It's Thin Red Line and Days of Heaven, you mean?
Oh yeah, that's right. I forget about that
'Cause
movie.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Well,
well,
you haven't seen that movie, have you? Have you
I was
seen
saying
that and Badlands?
I was
at all?
saying the other way, but the actual gap, I guess, is Thin Red Line and fuck, what's this Pocahontas movie called?
The New World.
The New World. Yeah, New World came out before.
Yes,
But
so
even-
there were 7 years in between, and then 6 years in between New World and Tree of Life.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
yeah, and there was 5 years in between Badlands and Days of Heaven.
he does work at a certain pace, and I think it makes sense. I mean, I don't know.
Well, this has been like on the table forever, so it's about
Yeah.
time that it comes out.
Like, because the dinosaur
I mean, I'm
stuff.
pretty sure that there's some footage in there from Tree
Yeah,
of Life
the,
that's going to
the dinosaur stuff from Tree of Life is from this movie. All that weird galaxy stuff is from this, and he was just like, "I'll never actually finish this one," so you can see it in the Brad Pitt movie.
Well, I mean, seeing Douglas Trumbull, is it or no? Not okay. Not it's Douglas Trumbull, isn't it? Shit,
know.
I was about to say Dalton Trumbo, but that's not
I don't know what you're talking about.
who I'm talking. The guy that did the special effects for 2001 and Close
Oh,
Encounters of
no,
Blade
I
Runner
don't-
and Tree of Life.
I don't know the
Jesus Christ.
I don't know the name.
I feel very ashamed if I'm butchering this name, but I mean, yeah, to see his those special effects on an IMAX screen, that's gonna be fucking pretty.
Let's
Like,
hope.
I really want to see it just for that, at least.
Well, this isn't the only IMAX spectacle people can expect this year, and it's going to be right around the same time. Audiences are going to be able to get their first taste of a narrative film shot almost exclusively in IMAX this year. Clint Eastwood solely used the Arri Alexa 65 and XT for almost the entire thing, especially when the plane lands in the Hudson River itself. Tom Hanks is starring in this thing. It's a festival. I mean, it's a award season film. It's coming out September 9th. It's not the full frame 70, which you might be used to in stuff like Christopher Nolan's films, such as The Dark Knight, The Dark Knight Rises, Interstellar, but it's still going to be IMAX.
So it's not really IMAX. Not really.
It's not full
It'll
IMAX.
be full frame for like a digital 2K
Yeah.
projection IMAX. It'll be full frame Transformers Age of Extinction IMAX. But as far as I'm concerned, that's not really IMAX.
It's still bigger
if
and
it's
better.
still gonna have bars when you're seeing it in like in 4K laser, then no, that's not full IMAX. It'll be it's gonna be the same as seeing a 1:8.5 or 1:7.8 ratio film in IMAX, which those have come out. So
I just think
in
it's
fact,
cool.
What's the ratio on this movie?
I don't know, but I think it's cool that a big name director like Clint Eastwood, who has a certain way of making things, is not just doing digital but also doing IMAX. Because you got to remember, these are the same
done-
exact.
He's done digital already. He's been, I mean, American Sniper and Jersey Boys was shot that way. It's not like he's dedicated to film or anything, and he's been working like at a he's just constantly working and doing new and different stuff. It's kind of like Woody Allen in that way. Like, once you reach a certain point, you don't really have to like be bound to that same level of quality that most people are.
Well,
Yeah, it's just he's at a point where he can do whatever he wants, and so of course he's going to be open minded and try new stuff.
like, who knows how many people are going to go see this film? I mean, it should do well. It is Clint Eastwood, it is Tom Hanks, it is a story that people care about. But these are the exact same cameras that Infinity War are going to be shot entirely with. It's going to be the same exact kind of...
Yeah, the 65.
Yeah, it's the same Arri Alexa cameras.
It's weird. The ratio on this, according to IMDb, is 2:4:39. 2:39. So I don't know if it's going to be that much of an open mat. It's probably going to be the same thing that Skyfall did, where they just opened it up a bit more. And that was released on 70mm IMAX. That does not take up the full screen. So, I mean, honestly, that's hardly IMAX.
You got to remember, most people don't even know what IMAX is. They think that when you go to an Edwards and you see the Limax screen, which is only like a fraction bigger than the standard theater experience.
I'm just saying it's kind of false advertising in that way in news, if that's how they're reporting it. But then again, it might be slightly bigger, but if it's not taking up the full screen, that's not shooting your movie in IMAX.
At the very least, when this comes to home video, it's going to be available in native 4K. That is an upside.
I mean, it is shot at 6K, so yeah, and The Revenant is available in 4K.
So
and apparently it looks fucking pretty beautiful. So.
Oh, I'm sure of it, yeah. So it is... I just think it's a cool item. The fact that... I don't know if I'm going to see it, but if I do, obviously I'm going to go see it in the IMAX, and I'm kind of excited. I am curious what this is going to look like. When I think Clint Eastwood, like I said, and Tom Hanks, I don't think IMAX. So... We'll see how this turns out. It could be a horrible movie.
I mean, American Sniper did really, really well on IMAX.
Was that in IMAX? Why was that in IMAX?
Yeah, it was.
Why? That seems like a really weird pairing.
Now, you've seen the movie, right?
No, yeah, I've totally seen the movie. I'm thinking about
I'm
thinking
IMAX
about it.
Theaters sold out. It was...
Why? It's not in my opinion, it's not an IMAX movie. It's a very slow, like, war procedural. Figuring out why some guy got killed, like.
For me, I don't know. I don't need to see it that way, but well, that's not what it's about. But
I'm just saying, I don't like. It's not even a war movie. It doesn't. It seems like it's a really weird fit for IMAX. I'm surprised. Like Lone Survivor,
there's some sequences in there that I could see why for American Sniper. I could see how some sequences work for IMAX, especially with the sound. Yeah.
If Lone Survivor were in IMAX, that totally makes sense. That's the right movie for that experience.
Lone Survivor is far more close-up heavy. Honestly, I think that would drive me nuts.
I'm saying like the action, how much you're on edge in that movie. Like it's kind of non-stop, whereas American Sniper, you're sitting through long periods where it's just talking or just looking at Bradley Cooper's face and he's looking in his scope, or he's at home playing with his baby. Like it's all over. Like I'm really surprised. I can't believe that's an IMAX movie, but given that Sully is too, it kind of makes sense. I don't know. Maybe he's just. It's like I gotta make more money, kids.
Well, hey, it did very, very well in IMAX when it came out.
Yeah.
So there is that.
Yeah, this next one's a really weird news item. It kind of doesn't even deserve to be on the show now since it got struck from the news. But for 2 days this week, Will Ferrell was set to star and produce.
It doesn't deserve to be on there.
Exactly, but for 2 days he was set to star and produce a film about Ronald Reagan, just called Reagan. And it was going to be about the actor turned politician's struggle with Alzheimer's during his second term in office. What's weird here is the script was featured on the Blacklist. It had a table read with like Josh Brolin and like Lena Dunham, and the public is very vocal against this. They're saying like you shouldn't be using a disease like this for comedic reasons. People, especially in Ronald Reagan's immediate family, were really upset about the casting of a comedian of Will Ferrell's stature playing the president. And just because, like, from what I read, the plot synopsis is basically an aide in the White House helps convince Ronald Reagan that he's himself the actor playing the role of the president. And that's how he was able to get through the rest of his term.
That's pretty shitty. I mean,
However,
like,
who knows the tone of this film? Like, no one, very few people, I'm sure, have read it. It could have been a real serious movie. We were just talking the other day about Will Ferrell needing more dramatic roles. It could have been it, but
somehow
it was
I
gonna be,
doubt
yeah,
it.
it was gonna
I
be a
mean,
Gary Sanchez production. So I highly doubt it.
yeah. I mean, this would have been something that just shows that Hollywood is clearly has more of a liberal bias. But I mean, hey, I'm not against, like, if you want to make fun of political figures, that's fine. But it would something like this, it would seem weird. Like, you could make fun of Hitler, no question, because that's a unanimously hated figure in history. But I don't know, when you're getting on U.S. presidents, and if you're just picking someone from the Republican Party that just is meant to paint them in a negative light, it's not like it's that far off. Even though, yes, he died, what, 10 years ago now. I mean, it's no, that's just too weird, honestly.
I don't think
Like,
that's what it didn't sound like to me. I think it's more of just like an interesting biopic. Like, this could have been
it
a
sounds
super
more like a joke, honestly.
a little, but like it could have been a real interesting biopic. Just the fact that we had a president in office who was suffering from Alzheimer's. Like, that's an interesting story. Like, when I was reading this, I was like, oh, I didn't know that. Like, I'm interested in that. Like, I'd like to read up on that. Like, what his struggle with was in office. Because on The West Wing, one of the plot
Like a
lines.
Reagan biopic, yeah. I mean, because he has a hell of an interesting, like,
Yeah, his life story is really
just
cool.
his time in office. A lot of stuff went down.
Not even just
Like,
office,
I mean,
just
yeah, no, just his life.
what
yeah.
he did to get to office. The fact that he was kind of like Justin Bieber. It was like, look at this one actor who's not really that good, but he looks good, and he also sings. And then now he's the Screen Actors Guild president. Now he's the governor of California, and look, now he won a landslide, like the last landslide we've had in our country. Like, he won like 49 states, I think.
I mean, he's the last guy to win California too.
Yeah, the last
A
Republican to win
liberal state.
California.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, he's the last Republican to win it. Yeah,
Well, it's because
for president. No, Arnold
it was
won
his
for governor.
it was
yeah.
his home state, and he was governor.
Yeah.
Like, it, you know.
No, yeah, people love that guy. So
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, if it's gonna be,
I'm still curious to see if this gets produced. I think it's an interesting story that maybe it could be in not too far from now, because we
I
got
guess
fucking
tone is
yeah.
controversial. But
I think it's just
I
Will
do think,
Ferrell
yeah,
being
there's a
cast.
responsibility.
And there's like
Maybe, I
speculation
don't know.
if he was even cast to begin with, because like I said, this was like a news item for 2 days. It was day 1, he's cast. 2 days later, he's not cast. Like, it was just the weirdest thing I've seen. I was like, I gotta talk about this. Like, Ghostbusters being the most disliked movie in YouTube trailer history. That's not a news item, because why the fuck does that matter? But I thought that this was
It's not. Is that really the?
That's-
Are we keeping tabs on that? On what's the most disliked movie?
that
in YouTube
was
history?
a headline across the internet yesterday. So yeah.
Are they just doing the
guess.
counts on how many people hit dislike?
Sure, I don't know. I didn't read it. I just saw the
Is that
headline.
how, or is it the comments? Okay.
If you're
whatever.
interested, you can read about it. I thought it was the stupidest thing.
I'm not.
It was probably
That's a stupid
when I saw
thing.
that headline, I was like, oh, so the trades are just trying to make Sony's franchise look even worse before it comes out.
It almost seems ridiculous now to report on news, because the stuff that people pick to report on, just stuff like that. God, really?
Yeah, really.
Please tell me that you got something good next.
No, this is really good. I'm very excited about this movie. I think I'd heard about it before, but now I really know. Now it's really on my radar. Jamie Foxx is circling this film at the Jim Henson Company called The Happy Time Murders. It's an R-rated Who Framed Roger Rabbit type of film that uses Muppets instead of cartoons. It chronicles the serial murders of the cast members from a kids show of the same name, kind of like a Sesame Street type thing, and the detective duo that's made up of a human and a puppet who are trying to find out who done it. I really hope Jamie Foxx is doing this. He hasn't done something big in a while. He has the star power. He has the
It's been
charisma.
like Django, right?
Yeah, basically since Django. It's been about 4 years right now.
Or the Annie remake.
Eh,
Yeah, it's been a long
who
time.
saw that? Who saw that?
No, I don't care about it. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
like, he was in
but even still, that the Sony hack was when that happened. That's a while ago now. But yeah, he's been not on screen much, and this sounds awesome. I doubt it'll be a Disney movie. It might be Touchstone, but it is the Jim Henson Company. But I just like the concept here. I've talked about how much I like the murder mystery. This sounds like a really great spin. The people are making comparisons to Avenue Q, the Broadway play, which was like a R-rated Muppet show, or Sesame Street, which I sadly haven't seen. Hopefully that becomes a movie after this is made. But yeah, like I said, I hope this casting's true. I hope more people get signed on to this, and I hope it goes into production real soon because it sounds perfect, or at least for me anyway. I don't know what else to say. It's just I really like Roger Rabbit and the concept of
I think the idea sounds awesome, and yes, I would totally see
right. Because Max Landis is Bright, that made the ton of money that it did. That concept isn't that far removed from this one. That's an orc and a human cop working together to find a magical wand in like a supernatural world. This is, what if that happened, except it's a Muppet? It's the same kind of setup, except cooler. Like, imagine if Elmo got a cameo. Or fucking Kermit the Frog.
I know you'd be very, very happy.
Better yet, if ABC publicized this on the Muppet Show, and they, like, Jamie Foxx had an appearance. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm working with your friends tomorrow," or I don't know, just I got a boner for this. I'm definitely, this is gonna be something I keep my tabs on.
Is that show still going?
Yeah, the season ended. It's on the break right now.
Like, was it renewed?
I'm pretty sure it will be.
Okay.
Like, it did well, or at least I hope it did well. Like, I don't care. I enjoyed it enough that I'm sure that other people enjoyed it, and it's Disney, so it's not like they can lose money.
We'll see. Yeah.
We'll see. I had a interesting news item about Blake Jenner getting another movie. Doesn't really matter. Good luck to him. If you don't know the name, that's the guy that stars in Everybody Wants Some, which is still in theaters. Go see it, please.
That's leaving a bunch of screens this Friday, though.
Yeah, well, it is a small movie.
I know Megan Nelson kind of bitterly tweeted about that.
It's like little movies make little money, and little money doesn't
its
sell.
time is done.
Yeah,
but hey, it'll live on in our hearts.
And on the small screen,
Although I don't know if you have this down on there, but did you see Richard Linklater's response to the whole the movie being very, very gay?
No, what?
No, you didn't read about that?
No, yeah. Where's this?
It was on Twitter. I think the link was through Vulture, but that was intentional. Which, I mean, I thought it was kind of a funny news item.
I didn't really.
Just what, you never read that?
No.
Like, people just saying, "Huh, this movie's actually kind of gay," and it's like, well, actually, yeah, it's just constant games of chicken and just everyone trying to prove that they're the alpha male, and yeah, like, naturally that is going to be homoerotic. But he did say, yeah, that's pretty intentional.
I didn't even see it that way, to be honest. Like, if that's how groups of friends
I didn't.
When you're hanging out with groups of friends, like, you're gonna, moon them, or like be walking around naked, or fucking wake some guy up by putting your ball sack on his mouth, like that.
Well, it is a dick measuring contest.
Exactly, like that.
They make that point throughout the movie. It's like, yeah, they're always at competition with each other because you got the best of the best there.
It's like frat dudes.
One of the top baseball schools.
Frat dudes do gay shit with one another. Period. And
no, it's like, it's naturally homoerotic.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I know. I did find it funny. Is like, people were like, some people on the internet who love the movie are going like, "What? No, that's not gay." It's like, well, yeah, it is, but it's not a bad thing.
It's like one of the first things.
It kind of makes it funnier that people see it that way. In fact, someone, it's funny because he talks about how he sees like all movies that way because there was this critic in Austin who died of AIDS like a couple of years before he started making movies that he would talk to movies about with, and they would always find a way to like find something gay about any movie. And they even one time like I think someone like brought up, it's like, you know what, even Dazed and Confused is like one thing about it. It's like, really, what's that? Because I don't see how that's gay. It's like, well, if you think about it, all these guys are really into hitting these freshmen's butts. It's like, yeah, think about that. Yeah, it's not like a super gay thing or anything, but it's like, okay, you can find that lens through there if you want.
I guess. I mean, I don't see it that way. Like
I don't know. It was kind of a funny response.
It's like, I doubt there's many people out there that will call American Pie a gay franchise, and yet it opens with a house party where Stifler drinks a cup of jizz. Like, that's something that happens. So, and in the sequel, what happens? Jason Biggs makes out with Stifler. Like, it's something that happens in the franchise. Like, there are a series. Like I said, guys
Just
are hanging
the
out.
nature of,
You
like,
do borderline weird shit together, which, yeah, I could see as being quote unquote gay. But I think that's
Yeah,
just
no, I
weird
mean,
analysis that people are, they're just looking too far into a movie, which has very little agenda at all, any plot even, for that matter.
no. I mean, you can find it in there, but it's
You,
just like,
you can
yeah,
find you can
anything though
find
that's
anything
like
in anything.
very, almost anything that's frat based or that's just, very much like is about the alpha male trying to be on top. There's always some sort of homoerotic thing going on that you can find.
Hey, look at the bromance in 21 Jump Street and its sequel, or I Love You
Yeah,
Man, or too many movies to name.
Too Fast, Too
It's
Furious.
definitely in that one.
Yeah.
It's just one of those, like, the slap
That's one of
ass
the things
fucking
that makes that
skit.
movie amazing. That fucking slap and tickle fight between Tyrese and Paul Walker is fucking
Movie's so
hilarious.
sad. But jumping back to
Rest
some
in
movie
peace.
news, Sony, for some fucking reason, is making a Goosebumps sequel, and they're trying to bring back the same team
I'll tell you what the
because
reason
it made
was right
money.
now if you want to
Yeah, it
know.
made money.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but outside of that, I don't know why the fuck they're making a sequel. But they're trying to get Jack Black back.
Because it made
They're trying to
money.
get the director back. What fucking Lerman, like the actor? They're trying to get all of them back.
I don't know. Well, I mean, not only did it make money, but it made money on the cheap. So it's kind of a no-brainer. I don't think they got to pour
It's like,
a lot of
where do
money
you
into
where do you
this.
go from here though? It's like, what, when a Jack Black student at the high school starts writing a scary story on the same typewriter, and then that comes true too, and so they got a new kid in the posse who they have to work together with to stop it. Like, I didn't think it was original, despite lots of people, not just on Letterboxd, but the internet abroad, that I don't. Are they gonna go see a sequel? Maybe, probably. I
Well,
won't go
I
see
don't
it.
think it's for us, honestly. Like, there were plenty of kids that saw it and that dug it, and it's for them, And if they dig it, that's fine.
Sure, it's just, I think it's a weird move for Sony. Like, they need as many sure hits as possible. I get that.
No, I think they're going for the right demographic, and I think this could do fine. I don't know where creatively it's going to go, but yeah, a sequel being made of this, it's not out of the realm of plausibility. So
It's like I said in our review for it. I think it's like Dollar
it was a sleeper
Views
hit.
7 or
So
something. It was better than Pixels, so
yeah, although I'd probably watch Pixels
I'd
again,
probably watch a
honestly.
Pixel sequel. I'd love to see where what's his name, baby, how that turns out. His babies.
What, Cubert?
Oh, you ruined the joke, man. But yeah, the Kubert babies.
I don't. Is that I? Shit, how that? Oh, right, that's what happened at the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
I
the
don't
the
care.
final
It's
the final
Pixels.
movies news item here, it's also a sequel, or a threequel rather. It looks like the Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes franchise isn't dead after all. Some guy named James Coyne is currently rewriting the script for the Robert Downey Jr. Jude Law star. I don't know why. I'm not sure exactly how. Like, Guy Ritchie's making his Excalibur movie. Robert Downey Jr. is obviously busy with Marvel. Jude Law is doing, well, who knows what Jude Law is doing. But
Well, I guess they just want to work together. I mean, the second one did pretty well, didn't it?
yeah, it did better than the first, but it was bad. As someone who
Yeah,
really
it's
loved that
still.
first one, I can't believe
I, w-
how.
I didn't see the second one, and I was really actually underwhelmed by the first one.
Oh, you'll really not like the second one though.
Yeah, no, that's why like the second one just did not appeal to me at all in the marketing. But I really wanted to dig that first one, and I just
But I
didn't.
went opening weekend
Um,
for that sequel, and I was so dissatisfied. And like, everyone I went
I
with
went like
wasn't
that
interested
came out
either.
Christmas Day, and I saw it the second day, I think.
The first one,
I, yeah, I went just for that Inception trailer that they had attached.
huh? So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it is kind of cool that Warner Brothers is getting Guy Ritchie back. So I hope it's good. It can't be worse than the sequel, hopefully. But moving to streaming news, this is where the TV stuff happens at the very end of the show. It's like 2 hours in. This is where you probably left already, but there's some kind of interesting stuff here. At least we're going to start off with one. I love Bret Easton Ellis, and so does a good amount on the internet. His podcast is pretty good, by the way. He gets good guests like Kanye West and such. But he's making the jump to directing. He's going to be doing a cult thriller series at Full Screen, the $5 a month streamer, which launched this Tuesday. It's going to be called The Deleted. It's about 3 disappearances in LA and how it's related to like a cult and stuff. Don't know exactly. I might check it out. But his only history,
You probably
I
will.
probably will, but his only,
You're a fan. Why would you say might?
because that would require getting a subscription to full screen. It's a series, and he doesn't really have any experience behind the camera. All he's done,
There's going to be a trial, and if it's reviewed well, I'm sure you're going to see it.
maybe, but like he's not writing this thing. The only experience he has is like doing a music video, and I think he did something else. Plus his most recent novel, what the fuck is it called? I got it on my bookshelf. Let me grab it. The fucking Less Than Zero sequel was Imperial Bedrooms was not that great. He used smartphones as as a plot device way too much. But yeah, I would prefer it if he tried something different instead of doing something new. But I at least am a fan of the fact that this is being set in LA, which is something that happens in almost all of his works. So it will hopefully still feel like something in his oeuvre. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to it, at least for a trailer. And I am slightly curious to see what he's like behind the camera. Because he is an interesting figure.
Well, I mean, enough of his stuff has been in movies that it only makes sense that he would be in the conversation to at least put stuff out.
Oh, no, he put stuff out. He wrote,
I mean, like to direct.
yeah, well, kinda. I don't know. It's just,
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see if he's as good as Stephen King was with Maximum Overdrive.
or better, yeah.
I'm gonna do Stephen King right.
But going a step
And I'm gonna scare the hell out of
stepping towards Amazon, they had a big news item. This could have been a headline, except I don't kind of give a shit. But John Krasinski is the new Jack Ryan. He's working with Michael Bay's Platinum Dunes at Amazon, and this series is going to reboot the character, which Chris Pine already tried to reboot just a couple years ago. I kind of don't know why people are still trying with this Tom Clancy shit.
Yeah, because it's popular and it makes money in the books.
I guess, but
yeah, I guess I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't really care. I am interested because when I look at the other Jack Ryans, Chris Pine included, you got Chris Pine, Ben Affleck, and Harrison Ford, and then you throw in John Krasinski.
The Harrison Ford ones are supposedly the good ones, and I have not seen those. I've only seen the other two.
Wasn't Alec Baldwin one of them too?
Oh yeah, Hunt for Red October. Yes,
Yeah.
I did see that one.
So
that's a good movie.
So it's like you compare all of them to John Krasinski. I just don't see him carrying this. At least it's a TV show.
I don't know. Are you thinking of Office, John Krasinski?
Just period. I haven't seen him in a lot of stuff. I loved him in Aloha, but that's because he didn't have any lines. I don't see him as.
He's also good in 13 Hours.
Well,
though.
yeah. Well, that's the reteaming
So, yeah,
on
that makes
hands
sense.
here. He's working with Michael Bay again. Just I don't see him as the badass American James Bond. I can't see that at all.
Well, technically Jack Ryan's supposed to be an analyst, so yeah, he's supposed to look like an office worker, right?
Well, I think
I mean, it's not
I'm
like
feeling-
in Hunt for the Red October. It's not at all like Alec Baldwin was a badass. Ben Affleck didn't appear to be a badass.
Harrison Ford was.
Neither did Chris Pine. None of them did. So I didn't see those.
But
And I don't know. Maybe that's what was missing from those other two. But
I don't know.
I don't. I mean, yeah, I'm not.
I'm
opposed to
sure-
it. I'm not.
I'm sure I'll watch the pilot for this. I mean, I usually watch the Amazon pilots. I'm interested enough that like I said, I am curious.
Mhm.
It could be worse. At least John Krasinski's getting work. Because
Yep.
I don't dislike him. It's just I think of him. I'm like Leatherheads, Away We Go, Jack Ryan. Okay, Office Man.
Yeah, no, I mean it is kind of weird, like especially, and then 13 Hours he ends up working with Michael Bay,
Yeah.
which I was hoping he would be more like that character in Aloha when that trailer came out for 13 Hours because he doesn't really get any dialogue at all.
Yeah, it's his new thing. Maybe Jack
Like,
Ryan.
no joke, in that first trailer at least.
Maybe Jack Ryan, like the first episode, the gag for the whole episode is him trying to tell people his name. He's like, "Oh, my name is Jack," and then someone's like, "I don't give a shit. Just file the paperwork." And it's like not until the end of the episode. There's like a wanted thing where he becomes badass, like very, very slowly. So you've moved up from paper clips to
Maybe,
guns.
just proves himself.
Yeah,
Now, that could be the first season. That's an arc.
the
right
whole
there.
season. Yeah, because I do think that this is, like I said, it's a reboot. It's gonna go from kind of like the not Tammy but Spy, where it's like you work in the office, and now you're a spy, something like that.
Yeah. Now, did you see the Kenneth Branagh movie?
Which the Jack Ryan? No, I
Yeah.
know it's on Epix and Amazon, but no, I haven't seen it yet. It's on my watch list. I am curious.
It's okay.
Yeah, I
I mean,
doubt
I
it's
mean,
bad.
Kenneth Branagh in it is
Oh, yeah, he's the
awesome.
bad guy, right?
Yeah, no, and I mean, he's just like
So who's better, Werner
just
Herzog and Jack Reacher, or Kenneth Branagh in Shadow Recruit, or whatever the fuck it's called?
you know what I actually I would say that Kenneth Branagh is much more intimidating, whereas Werner Herzog is just being Werner
I
Herzog
will
with
cut off your
I
fingers
think what,
one
two
by a
missing
time.
fingers,
How do you
and it's
think I did this?
hilarious.
Like, that's the weirdest thing about that movie, and it's such a shame. He dies at the first one, right? At the end of it,
I don't
I don't remember
remember,
either,
but
but I really hope he's in that sequel this year. I hope I
I don't know.
watch it unassumingly, and he's the bad guy once again, just because.
Like they just bring him
Just
back.
because, like they're like, we ran out.
It's like, do you think that this explosion killed me?
It's like you wait through all of
Is
the
that
credits
what explosions do, or do
instead
they kill
of a
something
post-credit
else?
sequence. There's like a little text on that screen, and it's like Werner Herzog is actually not a bad guy in person. We just felt like he has a very menacing personality, and that you would find him creepy, and so we cast him again. Our apologies. Go watch Grizzly Man.
Okay. What's the next news item?
It's Netflix. Kind of cool.
Okay.
They're taking us back to camp again with Wet Hot American Summer 10 years later. So, obviously last year they did the first days of camp with all the cast and Wayne and Showalter returning. It seems like that's going to be the same deal here. The directors are back in. Who knows about the cast? It's really hard to get all of them involved. They're busy. They're doing Marvel and not the Hunger Games anymore, but they're doing Power Rangers and God knows what else. But this is kind of set up actually at the end of the first movie, well, the only movie, where Bradley Cooper's like, "Well, we meet up in 10 years," so that's where this this show's gonna do. I'm guessing, or I would hope that they do exactly what they did in both the movie and the first show, where it chronicles one day, because that's kind of the joke here. So I don't know. I'll probably watch this too, even though I didn't really like that other show either. But it's so weird that you're watching like, what the fuck am I watching? And it's entertaining enough that it's kind of fun. And at least Netflix realizes that people enjoyed it enough that they're giving it another
Yeah,
go.
like there is definitely an audience for it. Clearly, I have not seen either, but I mean, yeah, good for good that the content's being created for the people that want to see it.
Yeah, but it does.
Also, David Wayne getting work.
Yeah, and Showalter, Michael Showalter. But I mean, just the cast. There's so many. It's like for the level of talent involved, you'd think it would be a better movie. And the excuse is, well, like Paul Rudd and Bradley Cooper and Amy Poehler and fucking A. Sean Benjamin and Janine Garofalo and like all these people, they weren't known at the time, so that's kind of the excuse. And it is one of those movies. It is that weird. But even still, when people get like, I'm so happy. I don't think I know anyone that's like a real fan of the. I guess it's a franchise now. But
They got it. I mean, clearly they probably like working together.
Oh, they
I don't know, 'cause
definitely-
do they sign
they
contracts
definitely must, yeah.
by the season
for
or...
this, no, this I don't think there's even a contract. I think it's just like, hey, you remember that show that we did a couple months ago? Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Would you be interested in doing it again? Yeah, that sounds good. Maybe when we're not busy being Ant-Man.
Yeah.
It's one of those. Like, there's actually a news item this week that I cut out. But Paul Rudd's gonna be starring in a spy thriller called the fuck it is it? I don't even remember. I could get rid of, or is it? It's called The Catcher Was a Spy, and it's about a baseball player that worked for the CIA and helped.
Oh, the guy that played minor leagues.
Yeah.
And also.
Yeah, and he also knew like
Yeah.
9 languages, so that sounds really cool. Like I hope that's good. It sounds like it'd be good, but it also kind of sounds like Ant-Man. And Paul Rudd's always the same guy. Like, I've never seen him in a movie where he didn't seem like Paul Rudd. He is one of those actors.
Yeah. No, he doesn't really have that. He's more of a movie star.
Yeah.
Or he doesn't really have range, really.
Yeah, he's good. He's funny, and
I don't know.
he's real
unless,
likable.
Like either you wanted Yeah, I don't know, what was it like in the 90s, or he went from being that well, no, jeez, I'm trying to make a Romeo plus
No.
Juliet joke that we just talked about it, but no, I don't know where I'm going with
No,
this.
he's got no range.
It's too late at night and it's getting later and I'm getting...
He's a solid actor, but he's not an actor. He just is. He's him.
Yeah, no, he's a movie star. He's got good screen presence. People like him.
It's like him and Cary Grant, same
Yeah.
shit. It's just you got a good smile, you got a nice body, people like that. Well, he has nice body now.
Cary Grant's a better actor. Though. Cary Grant's more like George Clooney.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much who he's modeled.
George
after,
Clooney kind of does have range, though. Because, I mean, like, his Batman's not good, but look at him in From Dusk Till Dawn versus, like, not Pretty Woman, that's Richard Gere. Richard Gere is one of those people, too. A lot of men in Hollywood are that way, but so are women. That's just Hollywood. That's how the way it works.
Well, I mean, he does tend to be like Ocean's 11.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he tends to always be
he's just
like,
a suave guy.
Yeah, even out of sight. He tends to be a con man. Yeah, suave. That's the word I'm looking for.
He's just the real suave, very sexy. Like, you can't get mad at him because he's so, like, hip. Like, he's like Teflon. Nothing sticks to him. That's why he could have been a good Batman.
He also plays a good bumbling idiot for the Coen brothers.
Yeah, he's pretty good at that.
He's done that 3 times now.
Yeah, I still need to see Hail Caesar. It's coming to home video soon. I think it's June.
Yeah.
So staying with Netflix for a second here, Dan Trachtenberg, who directed The Great 10 Cloverfield Lane, he's going to be doing an episode of Black Mirror for them. I'm guessing that means it's going to be the next season. So that's cool. Enough people will probably see that, you know, it is like an hour and a half show, so it basically is a movie that he hopefully can get another job because of this, or in spite of it. I'm kind of mad at him, though. He tweeted earlier that he was playing Uncharted 4, which kind of pisses me off.
Why?
Because he's not in the video game industry. He's not a reviewer. Why should celebrities get early access to games that have been pushed? This game was supposed to come out holiday season last year.
You know, keep in mind that he was one of those guys online that he was basically doing what we do.
Yeah.
And he would share, like, you know, that's kind of one of the cool things about 10 Cloverfield Lane is that
one of us made it.
A guy that's just like a normal geek ended up making a movie, and the type of movie.
No,
that
I'm not
if you listen back to the stuff that he's reviewed, he made the type of movie that he likes.
I'm not mad at him. Like, I'm not gonna be fuck you on Twitter or anything. But it's jealousy more than anything. Like I said, I've been waiting.
Just saying, like, you know, it just shows, like, yeah, he's still just a dude that still enjoys, you know, playing video games and shit, even though he gets to make awesome
he's a dude that gets
big studios that make money.
He's a dude that gets early access to one of the biggest video games of the year, though. That was my gripe, because I know that reviewers have copies. Obviously, they gotta get the review out before the game is published. But like, I was like, why'd you even tweet this? Why are you a cold-hearted man letting us?
Are you kidding me? That's good. That's good publicity for the game.
It doesn't.
That should just entice you more.
I already know it's good. It's gonna be great.
So what? Now you're not gonna play?
No,
it?
I've had a pre-order for months now. I push pre-orders so hard at work, you wouldn't believe it. Like, I sold one today. Like, I've been very excited about this game for a very long time, and I was like, you motherfucker, I don't care how good your movie was. You shouldn't have it yet. You should have to wait just as long as I have to wait to play this. But he didn't have to.
What if we started getting early copies to review stuff, and then you started, like, just you were so overjoyed with something that you just had to share it somehow?
In the very unlikely situation,
could happen.
It is possible. But
maybe we might be popular enough that someone might buy a VR headset for you. You never
that
know.
would be cool. Except I already have $150 down on my PSVR. But yeah, that would be cool if that, like, say I got a free one and I could sell the one that I'm buying. Yeah, that would be awesome. Sony listens to is like, we love how much you talk about
you
VR.
Get angry at what you've been angry at, like, what?
No, I'm not.
Lately,
I'm not like
angry
at him.
/film now Dan Trachtenberg.
I'm not angry at him. I'm just.
So
I'm
angry,
jealous.
bro.
I'm very jealous of him.
I'm
gonna block him on Twitter. Like, no more spoilers. Don't tell me how good it is.
You're gonna DM him.
Well, you have to be followed by someone to get DM'd. It has to be a mutual following. Last thing from Netflix here, and it could be the end of the show. The show should already ended. But the BBC is working with Netflix, and they're going to be making a new adaptation of Watership Down. It's a miniseries. It's going to be 4 one-hour episodes. It's CG animation, and it has a really impressive voice cast. John Boyega, James McAvoy, Nicholas Hoult, Gemma Arterton, and Ben Kingsley. So lots of people. The animation studio is in Ireland, so it's all UK. Sounds really cool. I can't wait to see this. I've never seen the adaptation. I've never read the book. I kind of know what it is.
So you've never seen the movie?
I haven't seen that animated film.
Oh, the movie's
Yeah,
great.
so I
That could be a Dead to Cinema just a time with this, like to coincide with it,
maybe,
because that's such a good movie.
but I
Yeah.
really like the voice cast here. It's cool that John Boyega is getting more work outside of the Star Wars universe. So I'm sure that this will be good whenever it comes out. It's probably gonna be later this year or something. Um, but yeah, I think that this could be good. It could be really good. Especially, like the BBC has a really good track record. I mean, Black Mirror, we were just mentioning them. That's a BBC show too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think you're
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you're gonna like these next two talking points, even though they're at the end of the show. I know you're getting tired, but this one's actually like really fucking cool. Check this out. So Sylvester Stallone, after a really good year at the movies last year, he might be heading to the small screen for the first time, and it looks like he's going to be starring in Antoine Fuqua's adaptation of Mario Puzo's Amaretta. It's the final book that he completed. It's in his like Mafia trilogy with The Last Dawn and The Godfather. He's likely to play the head of the mob family in this. There's no destination yet. No one knows where it's going to land. It might shoot as soon as this summer. But I think this is a good move for Stallone, really, because the Expendables, they're proving that was like a one-time thing. That franchise did not work. People could try to blame it on the piracy. I don't think so. Just that third one and the second one, for the matter, too, just weren't good. The Rocky, I'm not Rocky, but the Rambo reboot didn't work. The Rocky reboot that he actually starred in
Really?
didn't really work.
No, that did really well,
It
didn't it?
kind of it did as
Like Rambo opened big. I thought that movie was badass.
it opened as big as the first Expendables, but there's
No, it ended up. Yeah, it didn't cost that much money to make though. I think it ended up making like half of 100 mil, maybe a little bit more than that.
maybe I don't know. I've never seen a Rambo movie.
Jesus, I want to look. Oh man, not even
None of them,
the,
not even First Blood. None of them.
No, like I mean, you didn't see the one that came out. What? God, that is 8 years ago now. Holy shit!
Yeah, it came out.
I mean that.
I think it came
that
out the
movie
same
was
year as Rocky
badass.
6 did. I mean, I'm sorry, Rocky Balboa.
No. It was a couple years after, but yeah, it was at that point where he was kind of that joke of like Sylvester Stallone is still able to do this shit, but even now, yeah, we still think he's a badass. We're not laughing at him anymore.
But yeah,
It's funny though. Interesting thing about Rambo. I remember that was the same exact weekend that Meet the Spartans came out,
that's sad.
because that was in January, and Meet the Spartans was #1 at the box
Was that
office.
08?
But yeah, and that was only by like probably I think like $100,000, and of course that was the case because that was probably the movie that kids paid for just to sneak into Rambo.
It's
And it's funny. I was able to get an R-rated ticket, but yeah, some of my friends had to get a ticket to Meet the Spartans just to do that. Yeah, final gross was 42 mil, made 100 mil, 113 mil worldwide on a 50 mil budget. So,
I mean it
so,
did
yeah,
well,
it made its budget.
but I'm just saying, he wasn't acclaimed. People aren't talking about that one. It's like, ooh, when's the next Rambo coming out?
No, but I do want to. I want to add that movie to my Netflix queue right now because I thought that was badass.
I've never seen a Rambo. The only Rambo movie I've seen
I'm literally doing that
is
right now. I'm gonna watch that movie again.
is whatchamacallit. It's Hunted with Tommy Lee Jones and was it Jim Caviezel? I want to say it is. No, it's Antonio. It's Benicio del Toro and Tommy Lee Jones, and it's basically a Rambo remake. That's the only one I've seen. It's about
I do not know what that one is.
It's the same setup as First Blood. It's the badass army guy who's been trained like special forces that can survive anything, and then the actual military or police in Hunted's case are trying to hunt him, and that was just a bad fucking idea. You don't know who you're messing with.
Well, give me a second to search that. I gotta add Rambo to my queue right now.
I think it's who directed it.
What's the next news?
It's the
item?
last news item, and I think you're gonna really like it more than that one
All
about
right.
Sylvester Stallone. The Peanuts are returning to TV, guys. Turner's Boomerang is going to begin airing daily vignettes starting May 9th, so just under a week from now. It's going to be done in a watercolor style, more in line with the classics than Fox's Sky Blue Sky reimagining last year. So this means that it paid off. That movie did well. People liked it. I almost sold a Snoopy video game today, matter of fact. And I'm excited. I think I want to watch this. I think it's going to be similar to the Teen Titans Go or New Powerpuff Girls, where it's just like one 15-minute episode and that's it with no commercials, kind of like what they do on Adult Swim. But it's going to be daily, so that's really cool. I can definitely see myself staying up late and watching episodes of this. I'm excited.
and added to my queue. Okay, sorry, what was that, Brian?
You seriously didn't listen to the whole thing?
Of course I was listening. I'm just
Okay.
fucking with you. No. That is cool. I mean, I'm sure, it's definitely going to be that 2D style, and it's going to be in the vein.
Yeah, the
of,
old stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like it'll. So I mean, yeah, no, that's cool. I don't the Peanuts movie. It's not getting a sequel, is it?
It's too soon to tell. Maybe. Who knows? I think it
Yeah.
could.
I mean, it doesn't really need.
No, yeah, it
could.
definitely.
I don't think it needs
definitely
one.
doesn't need one, but it did. Like
Yeah.
I said, I almost sold. Like I sold them on something else instead, even though it ended up my company losing money. I was like, don't buy the fucking Snoopy game. But these two kids, they really wanted to buy the Snoopy video game, and I was telling their dad, I was like, no, buy this one instead.
Well, how old were these kids?
One was 3, and the other one was, I would say, she was like 8.
Oh, they'll love it.
No, I sold
man.
them. No,
They'll
I sold them
totally
Little
love
Big
it,
Planet
yeah.
instead. Fuck off. They can buy the Sony game. I think they'll like it more, even though I don't really like it. But that wasn't the point. I wanted to sell them a game. But yeah, they were all for Snoopy. So I think that kind of proves that the movie was a success outside of just the number standpoint. And so yeah, I could see a sequel being made. And at the very least, Boomerang is getting this new show. So that proves that there's interest. They're hoping that this can re-spark their channel, which was known primarily for syndicated like Hanna-Barbera cartoons, but they're trying to get into original content now and try and do new things. Well, that's the show. I thought it was going to be an hour and 45 minutes. It ended up being 2 hours and 15, which is kind of how the show works. That's why no one listens to it, but that's just my 2 cents. And if you don't want to take that for granted, you can write a review. You can do it on iTunes, you can do it on TuneIn or Stitcher or on the website.
We might have to restructure this show, or
I tried restructuring today.
I don't know. Maybe
Maybe just cutting out
it's a tough
just
show.
cutting out streaming stuff, because it's really hard to really guesstimate how long we're going to talk about something, because
Well, it's really just I think whatever seems to be a big talking point, because I don't know. I do think some weeks it really depends on what state of mind I am in when I record the show. Like this is probably I don't know, since I've been the past few months, it's been tough. Like honestly, yeah, I'm getting a little personal here for me, but it's been tough actually just doing these shows. I do feel like a little bit burnt out, but then once we do something like that to cinema, then I come back, get back into it, and I'm like, well, I'm still having fun, though.
Well, it's like
So
I said
it's-
before recording, like I've just been real tired lately, and it could be because
Yeah.
of the shows, just because of the amount of content we put out, and we get no love for it. So if you,
That, and also, I don't know, maybe it's just that we've been reviewing, because you think about it, we've been reviewing comedies lately, with Freddy Got Fingered and Up in Smoke, and then Keanu, and it's like, yeah, I mean, it's actually tougher to find things to talk about with those. Although I don't know, I think maybe more so with Up in Smoke, it's more difficult. With Keanu, we at least had some decent content in there.
I mean, the episode, I listened to the episode earlier, which you guys should listen to too,
Yeah.
because it's not up yet, but it will be by the time you hear this.
It took a really long time for me to put that one together. Like I have fun doing those intros too now. Like every chance I get to do a custom intro like that with the music, then I do it.
Like I said, we're all over social media.
No, it didn't stick out to you.
No, I actually skipped through that because I
I like doing.
No,
those,
I'll listen to it later. I skipped around. But yeah, we still do this for free. If you haven't noticed by now, there's no ads on our content. We're seriously just doing it because we can, and it is a time suck. We get very little out of it. We get almost no interaction from anyone. And so if you are still listening, I'm basically begging you to like us on social media, to follow us on Twitter or on Facebook, or just to tell us that you enjoyed the show. You can send us an email at brian@dollarviews.net or steve@dollarviews.net. You can leave us comments on anywhere you see an episode, because we do know that there's enough of you out there. The shows do average, I'm not going to say the numbers, you can look at it yourself, but there is enough of you out there, at least you listen to it fairly enough, that we are curious about what you like and dislike. If the content we've been putting out is stuff that you enjoy, or if you liked it how it used to be, if the new dollar views is better than the old ones, or vice versa, if 2 cents is too weird now. I really am curious, and I'm sure Steve is too. So it would mean a lot.
Yeah, Hyro, spread the word, man. Come on.
There's more than just Hyro, and
What's going on?
even
right there?
Hyro hasn't
Yeah,
listened
no,
this late.
No, I know the numbers are definitely there, so it's interesting. Like, yeah, I definitely I would love to get some
Like at the
feedback.
same time,
I mean,
I kind of
anything.
get it because at the same time, I've watched YouTube videos to learn how to do something and left no response. But the difference is there that I'm not a fan. But on the few times I can, for instance, I have a Casio watch and I didn't know how to adjust my wristband. So I went on YouTube, I found a video. It was exactly what I needed. I left a comment. I was like, "Thank you so much. I just did this," and they responded back, and I could tell that they're appreciative, that I was appreciative, and it was one of those like glowing moments for just a second of the day that meant a lot. And we don't get that yet, and I'm sure it would go a long way because Joe Carnahan can't be the only one that listens to our show. So yeah, thanks for listening. We'll be back next week, and hopefully it'll only be an hour less than this one was.
Yeah, for sure. Have a good week. Also, the two people that liked the Cat People podcast on dollarreviews.com, thank you.
I,
So that is something.
Number one, we're not dollarreviews.com, but I wasn't even aware that was a thing.
.net. Sorry.
I can't afford.
You're the one. I have a recorded outro. You're the one that says it.
That
week by
URL
week.
costs like $1,000. I'm not made that kind of money.
All right.